All right, okay, let's do this. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Comic Artist Pro Secrets. My name is Ethan Van Sciver, 26-year veteran of the comic book industry. Let me try that again. Let me try that again without the sarcasm. Let me do that with dignity and honor. Let me say that with the honor, and the reverence that it actually deserves. 26-year veteran of the comic book industry, world's most charming, elegant, eloquent, and yet humble man. Great big Star Wars fan, trusted member of the media. Hi, everyone. Hello. Hello to you. Hold on. Let me clear my throat. Sorry if I did that into your earphones. But I mean, I'm a professional broadcaster. I made an. Should I clear my throat, or should I just not, and then suffer a coughing fit halfway through the show? And I decided, as a professional broadcaster, to just go ahead and do it. Now, before we go anywhere, I want to catch up yesterday on the super chats. Last night, I was talking. I had to do a live stream because of the demonetization, and everybody was freaking out about the demonetization. Everybody was very, very upset, and there were, I don't know if you guys follow these kind of political panics that go on. Everyone is always saying, "Eventually, it's going to happen. Eventually." Eventually, they're going to get rid of all voices that are not far left. I don't know. I don't. I wouldn't say that as a matter of fact thing. I'm skeptical of that. I think that a good portion of left wingers in the media are having a tantrum and are capable of doing something stupid like that. But I'm not worried about it. I have to go through life like whistling. I have to whistle a merry tune, like Ichabod Crane in Sleepy Hollow, in the Disney version of Sleepy Hollow, just carelessly whistling a happy tune. So apparently what happened yesterday, in case you weren't paying attention, YouTube demonetized Steven Crowder, who is a YouTube comedian. He is a comedian. And then they said, look, you can get your monetization back if you remove links selling these T-shirts that he was doing. All right, so he was doing these T-shirts that said, "Socialism is for figs." I mean, obviously, and the thing about it is it was F and then a little symbol, which had a picture of a fig, picture of a fig, and then a GS. So one might blur one's eyes and think that it said something else, like fugs or fogs or fegs, feg, FEG, or something like that. So there was some confusion. A fellow from Vox named @GayWonk was furious, and he was rallying around this idea that merch sales are a big income source for people who I don't know, Nazis. Monetization is actually secondary. So when YouTube responded to SJW whining by demonetizing channels that were right of center, this wasn't good enough for SJWs. They said no. Just taking away monetization isn't enough. It's not going to make right wingers homeless fast enough. Everyone who voted for Donald Trump is a Nazi. These people need to die in a gutter. And therefore, we've got to find a way. We've got to find a way to take out all of their possible, every income stream that they have. It's got to be a way. And YouTube said, well, all we can really do is demonetization. And they said, no, that's not enough. Gotta be worse than that. You gotta actually do worse things. So in any case, YouTube did say, look, okay, so we're gonna do what the crazy SJW is saying, and we are going to restore your monetization because apparently that doesn't matter. And we're going to make it so that you can't sell a T-shirt. And that's what it is. So the video montage was made up by this guy Carlos, and I don't know. It's full of just clips of stuff that Steven Crowder has said that just seems a little bit offensive to Carlos and all this stuff. And that's what's going on. I don't know. I don't know where this is all going to lead. Andrea was just kind of like, "Are you worried about the SJWs?" No, I can't worry about the SJWs. We have work to do. We honestly just have work to do, and the work involves building up a platform for people who just don't want to kowtow to these awful far left wingers, these SJWs who want to ruin people's lives. We actually do have to build stuff. We have to make comics. We have to get bigger. So I can't just sit there and panic. Everyone else is allowed to panic. I am not going to panic. Instead, I'm going to keep producing great things, great content on YouTube, great, amazing comic books. And that's what I'm going to do. I want to thank you guys, by the way, for hosting or for being so kind to Billy Tucci yesterday. Billy Tucci was on my show. Billy Tucci, creator of She, comic book creator, was on my show for just a little while. And boom, this is the last day of his campaign for Zombie Sama on Indiegogo. And it blew up. I mean, when he came on, I think they were at $37,000. He crossed 40,000 this morning. Probably because of rewatches of the video that we did yesterday. I mean, the live stream that we did, it was a 2-hour, 20-minute live stream. It's already gotten 15,000 rewatches and views. I mean, that's something else for a live stream. So people were pretty excited to see Billy, and people were excited about the topic of discussion, which is, of course, the second adpocalypse. And people kind of thank Billy for being cool, being clever, being fun. By supporting Zombie Sama. Obviously, you could do the same thing. He's going to close out this campaign today. So if you haven't done it yet, please do go over there and back Zombie Sama while you're there. Of course, we've got this going on right now. This is the splintering. Cyberfrog variant covers of Vampirella versus Reanimator are printing money. Over the weekend, comic book creator Ethan Van Sciver, Green Lantern in parentheses, parenthetically, launched a unique crowdfunding campaign for a variant cover edition of Vampirella vs. Reanimator #1, featuring EVS's own Cyberfrog and Salamandroid characters. The campaign is already producing quite a bit of green for Van Sciver, having raised more than 1,000% of its original goal of roughly for a total roughly 27,000 at the time of this writing. Here's how EVS pitches these Cyberfrog variants on the Indiegogo campaign. He says, "This is the first." I say, "This." Should I do a soy boy voice for my own voice? Yeah, this is my own writing, so I'm going to do. This is me as a soy boy. This is the first of many cool limited edition Cyberfrog products that I'd like to offer you. That doesn't sound good. I don't talk like that. These are highly limited collectibles. That's my voice. You will receive a copy of the 20-page Dynamite Comics Vampirella vs. Reanimator #1, written by Cullen Bunn and drawn by Blackie Shepard, with an exclusive new cover by me, Ethan Van Sciver. There are two versions of the cover featuring colors by Kyle Ritter, one with the title and logo and the other with art only, each priced at $20. Black and white edition will run you $30 if you prefer to have a copy with only the line art, and there are also options to buy signed, unsigned. Now that the campaign is successful, he intends to follow up with Cyberfrog variants for the remaining issues of the 4-part miniseries. This is an interesting way for fans of Van Sciver's work to discover series that they may have missed. But what is that series all about anyway? Originally released by Dynamite Comics in late 2018, early 2019, Vampirella vs. Reanimator miniseries was a macabre crossover featuring the work of Cullen Bunn and co-writer artist Blackie Shepard. It's important to note that Cyberfrog and Salamandroid will not appear in the pages of these stories. Not yet. I mean, eventually, I'm sure. These editions will only have new covers featuring EVS's characters alongside the title characters of Vampirella and the Reanimator. If you're interested in picking up your own collectible Cyberfrog variant of the Vampirella versus Reanimator, jump on over to the Indiegogo page here. And so that is also linked in the description. Cyberfrog and Vampirella doing pretty well. It's at $28,140 right now. Guys, thank you for your continued support of this. This is kicking some ass right now. It's gigantic. Hey, Umbrella Guy's in here. How are you, Tug? Welcome. Good to see you, my friend. Surviving the second adpocalypse, I hope. Tug, I hope you're surviving the second adpocalypse. Apparently it's aimed at people like you and me. Well, that's what they want us to think. I'm not worried about it at all. All right, so more bass in my voice. I feel like I'm all about that bass, but apparently not enough. Also, let me see here. The Cyberfrog Blood Honey team up cover is rounding the bases, $211,756. So thank you very much for supporting that. Links are in the description. Before I go on, I want to read yesterday's super chats. Like I was about to say, I had Billy Tucci on, and I just was falling asleep at the end. Like, I wake up at 2 in the morning, I get to work, I write, I go out, I clean the pool. I have to go out there and clean the pool, make sure there are no toads in there, rescue all frogs that get caught. They're depending on me. If you don't get out there and rescue the frogs, they drown. So I got to actually get out there and do it. And then, I just work. I draw all day. I run errands, whatever it is that I need to do. And then by the time it's like 9 o'clock at night and I've got Billy Tucci on, I can talk for like an hour. And then I'm like, I'm actually losing consciousness. And you know what my worst fear was last night? I was like, I'm going to fall asleep and then I'm going to talk in my sleep. How weird would that be? Like, I was getting close to like hallucinating as I was sitting there trying to run the show. If you go back and listen to the end of yesterday's or last night's live stream, I don't know what I said. I'm not really sure. You know, I might have said some weird stuff. So I don't know. You guys would have let me know. But in any case, there were super chats that came in that I didn't read. So I want to read these real quick. I promised that I would. I was like, I'll read them tomorrow. And yeah, that's what I want to do. So thank you for sending super chats as always. They're very, very much appreciated. You guys are the best. DJ Nutsack said Crowder called him a name the guy has called himself in the past. Cancer Watch 49er says, here's some of my YouTube Red money. Wait a second. I read these. Hold on a second. EVS doing that to Billy sounds evil. Do it, says Michael Roth. Chicken Sis says progressives are the enemy and journalists are liars. Sinatra Says was demonized or demonetized. Yeah, how many people were demonetized, and was it fixed? Was anyone fixed? I mean, did anyone get their demonetization back or their monetization back? I mean, I understand that Crowder did. All he had to do was stop selling the T-shirt, and he kind of just agreed to do that. Some people said he cucked by doing that. I'm not sure if that's cucking. What do you guys think? Yeah. But who else was demonetized? So this guy Sinatra Says was. Somebody told me the quartering was demonetized, but I found no evidence of that. I found no proof that the quartering was demonetized. Let me know. Like, dude, let me know if you guys have information about that. I want a list of who actually lost their monetization. DD says SJWs are saying Batman stories encourage racism and intolerance because he beats up the disenfranchised and mentally ill. We've lost our minds. Oh, is that true? How do we stop SJWs? Can we demonetize that? They've demonetized themselves by never working. SJWs have beaten the whole system. Essentially, you can't demonetize them. You can't punish them financially because they don't have any finances. So what do you do? Bianca fights the zombies right now. Says free speech must be defended. Yeah. No, I completely agree. It makes me angry though that we're constantly having to fight these fights. It's just like at some point, we've got to kind of. It used to be, the attitude of liberals used to be, I would die for your. I disagree with what you say, but I would defend to the death your right to say it. Can you imagine an SJW saying something like that? I mean, that is the difference. People go, I've had like far right wingers come at me and say, Ethan, stop delineating a difference between SJWs and liberals. They all want to cut your throat. And I'm like, that's not nice. No, I think there is a difference between liberals and SJWs. And liberals drive me nuts too. But I don't think liberals believe in principles. Liberals have principles. SJWs have objectives. And I think that's the difference. Like, liberals believe in freedom for the most part, I think. I mean, I don't know. I mean, they believe in, progressivism in terms of, hey, more rights, more equality for people. Even though that can only, that kind of becomes SJWism eventually. But SJWs have objectives and they have tactics. I mean, they're actually Alinskyeites. They're terrorists, and that is the thing. SJWs do not want you to speak your mind. They do not believe in your right to say whatever you want to say. They do want to silence you at whatever cost. I mean, they're just out to silence you. Yeah, we these are people who don't understand Batman. I remember a certain SJW saying that Batman was all about white privilege. That's just shocking. Michael Beacon says La Higuera, where Shay died, translates to fig tree. A lot of people are talking about figs because they're defending Steven Crowder's fig T-shirt. You know, Cringe Zero says, "Boohoo! The guy who called himself a queer got called a queer." Yeah, you know. Swinging Cod says Billy Tucci is the man. Lucifer Love Monkey says, "Hey Ethan, have you ever heard anything about James Hudnall's comic? Just curious if we will see the project he was working on. Thanks and rest in peace, James." Now we did have James Hudnall's artist on, and he was asked this very question, and it was, he answered it. He tiptoed around it and said, "Look, it's a matter of dealing with this with the family, with James' family." But it is important, and obviously everybody wants that book to get released, and people want that Indiegogo project, to be fulfilled. So, unfortunately, James Hudnall was the writer of a book called The Agenda, and it looked great. He was on this show promoting it a few times, and James Hudnall passed away last month. So the question is, what happens to his comic book? I'm pretty sure that that's in the hands of people who do want to see that get released and get his whole campaign be fulfilled. Kay Brady says Stern was the funniest on AM FM when half the show was avoiding being thrown off. Yeah, I guess that look, you kind of look at Howard Stern in terms of his struggle, his fight. I mean, now things have kind of evened out, and he's an institution. But I always think. When I talk to Andrea, when I talk to some people who are afraid, I talk to SJWs, or not SJWs, I talk to comic skaters who are afraid of how we are constantly under attack and constantly being fought. And at the same time, I think it's clear that everything that we're saying is true about the state of the industry. I think it's clear and becoming clear to more normal people that everything that we're saying about SJWs is true. And that the industry is in real trouble. The amount of attention that somebody like me gets, I get an awful lot of attention. It's frankly shocking. There are people talking about me all the time. Your boy Zack sent me a note and he said, "Ethan, here's a little experiment for you. Just find any random comic book creator. Think of anyone, any comic creator, big or small. We're talking like Artist Alley, nobody's all to the big, the biggest artist. Now go to their Twitter timeline and figure out how far back you have to scroll in order to find your name mentioned." And he said, maximum 2 days. On average, maximum 2 days before people mention you. I don't, I'm not paying that close of attention. I used to name search myself all the time because there wasn't very much about it. And when I was name searching myself, I was looking for reviews of my work. But nowadays, all of these people are talking about me all the time, and it can be uncomfortable. But what I said to Zack and what I said to my wife was, the very, very biggest people, the most important people, the people who actually make a difference in society, the people who actually implement change and who are memorable, all went through this. My hero is Elvis Presley. What did Elvis Presley go through? You think about what Elvis Presley went through, what he suffered in the 1950s. Like he went to a gas station and was physically attacked. Everybody was calling him names. They were calling him the N-word. He was persecuted wherever he went. I mean, you don't see that now. You just go, "Oh, poor Elvis." I mean, he's the king of rock and roll, the biggest star in the world, but he suffered crazy harassment. The bigger you get, the crazier you get. The bigger you get, the more people and the more important you are, and the closer you are to riding the wave of an actual movement. The more people love you, and that's dangerous, and the more people hate you, and that's dangerous. And I had a conversation with somebody rather important yesterday who was like, "You've got to look out for yourself, and you've got to, get this kind of insurance and that kind of insurance because people are going to try to hurt you." But again, I said, "Look, this is all amounting to something. It's all amounting to something. Fighting Howard Stern, fighting. The first half of his career was all about just asserting, who he was." asserting his belief system, his sense of humor, changing the culture. It's going to be uncomfortable. This is always going to be uncomfortable. We're going to push forward if we want to actually implement a change and shake things up and make things fun again. Somebody's going to have to take slings and arrows. I'll do it. I'm going to do it. I think a lot of people, can get out of the way. I will take this abuse. I don't mind anymore. I'm completely calloused. I have very thick skin. And that is, yeah. Cam says, you are definitely one of the biggest people, just like Elvis and Orson Welles. Thank you, Cam. Wait a second. Those guys were both fat. Fat Elvis is the best Elvis, is Ben Fichetti. Yeah, but see, Fat Elvis at that point, like, he was already content. Tube Sock says, was Elvis called the N-word? Of course he was. You can go back to the 1950s. He was called the N-word because he was a white guy who looked like a hillbilly who adopted and appropriated black culture. And he did. I mean, SJWs claim Elvis culturally appropriated black culture. Completely false, says V. Love Williams. No, it wasn't. He did. I mean, he grew up there. He was a sharecropper's son. He was around black people his whole life. He loved the music. He loved the blues, and he borrowed it. So, he borrowed it and made it his own. And for that, like, all of the weird, suburbanite, middle class normies called him names. Yeah. That is the thing. Oh, goodness sakes. All right. So, but yeah, Howard Stern, people are always talking about Howard Stern and how he, what he went through early on in his career. I think he's a lot less interesting now. Now that he's no longer under attack, he's a lot less interesting. Quinna Credone Rab, thanks for $10. He says, the wisdom, you are the good baby, your uncle, you are my age. Stupid to view and generational titles. The teens, 20s, 30s, 40s, or beyond 48 are the metrics. Keep up the awesome inking. I don't know what any of that meant. Razdak, thanks for $1.99. Ask Billy about the Joy Divisions. He has a comic. Frank V says, EVS, can you tell me some good sources for learning the truth about McCarthy? Yeah, there's a good book called Blacklisted by History, which is the most scholarly and accurate tome. It actually utilizes, original documents and research to prove exactly what happened. And, the Senator McCarthy stuff, it's reflective of what's going on right now. You'll recognize it immediately, how, politics kind of shape a narrative and build on that narrative. And, that narrative kind of confuses the truth. And it all started out right from the beginning, when McCarthy said he had a list of how many. McCarthy said, he wrote a speech. He did some quick math. He said, on his original speech that he wrote out, he used the number 202 or 204, 201 communists or subversives within the State Department. But when he actually got up to give the speech, he said there were 57. He said, there are 57. He did a quick switcheroo there. And the question of whether he had said there were 202 or 57 at the actual speech, which there was not a recording of, was used as the issue. Did he say 202 or 57? Why is he lying and saying 57 now when he said 202? Does anybody? He said 202. Why is it 57? That's not that shouldn't be the argument. The argument should be, are there communists and subversive like spies in the State Department? No. We obfuscate. We talk about numbers. We talk about someone lying or getting this wrong or something like that, rather than the overall issue. And that was the very beginning of Senator McCarthy's career. It went downhill from there. But it's a fascinating book. McCarthy, the other thing is McCarthy was largely right. But if you say that now, people go, oh, so McCarthy was a hero to you, right? Well, no, I think he made a lot of mistakes. I think he made a lot of dumb mistakes. He wasn't really a hero. That he doesn't need to be a superhero. He doesn't need to either be Satan or Jesus. He can be somewhere in between. But the point was, the government was infiltrated with communists and communist spies. That is clear now, thanks to Venona. The Venona releases of 1996, the CIA, the FBI were fully aware, and in fact, most likely informing Senator McCarthy, tipping him off about certain cases. Because despite what you may have heard, McCarthy wasn't wrong ever, not even once. He wasn't wrong about one single person he accused. Brian, so read these books. It's good stuff. Brian Urso says, "Hi Billy, can't wait for Zombie. Don't forget, gang, my prog rock band Gideon's Mob debut album is now on iTunes, Amazon, Spotify, Google Play, CD Baby, and Bandcamp. Thanks and God bless. Keep up the good work, gang." Micus Miller says, "Billy, talk about the Meg tier." Rob Shoney says, "Band Bang." Lloyd Aloha, thanks for $2 and thanks for another $2. He says, "I don't like Mike anymore. Dude is so frustrating." Swinging Cod says, "She is on Indiegogo, 7 figures B word." Hewick Gax says, "I'm late to the stream. Tell Billy I found and purchased some Vampirella and the Scarlet Legion at my local comic shop. Looking forward to Zombie Sama and Go Corsairs." Mile Peril says, "I'm paying real money to hear why you and the High Council have fallen out." Yeah, people think that. We didn't fall out at all. I just didn't show up. I went to sleep. And honestly, it's a thing. Like it's hard for me to keep an appointment now. I'm all over the place. I've got a lot of stuff to do. So it's hard for me to say Tuesdays at 9, I will be there now. And that's just not fair to the other guys. It's just not fair. I don't know. Am I going to stay with the High Council? I'm going to talk to them about it because I love those guys. I created the High Council. It's something that I came up with. I don't know. I'll talk to them about it. People were concerned. I got all kinds of messages about it. Like, please don't leave the High Council. And it's just like, well, whatever we do, we're going to move on and create something new. Everything doesn't have to stay the same all the time. I mean, we can make up something new that actually addresses the, whatever the current pop culture climate is. That's always going to be something that I do. Gimp Rider 66 says, "Billy needs to learn to say Mike. Hey, Mike, Mike." Swinging Cod says, "Mike needs some Ritalin, and I would know." Mark C says, "Uncle E, do you remember the Denard craze after the Iraqi war? That's Bitcoin." Oh, I don't remember that. Let me look that up. Lloyd Aloha says, "I'm ordering Zombie Sama. Glad it's still open." And it is still open right now. If you guys want to back Zombie Sama. Anthony Scott says, "I bought 4 when they were like $300 each. A year back, I cashed in 2 last Christmas. Had the best family holiday ever." So Anthony Scott bought Bitcoin when they were $300. Yeah, that's a good investment. You never know. I mean, look, here's the thing about Bitcoin. I'm watching it. Mike S. Miller loves Bitcoin. Zack wants to come in. Hang on a second. Mike S. Miller loves Bitcoin. And I'm because of that, I have checked it out. And it's crazy. I mean, it fluctuates so much. Like it hits a high of like 8,000 and then it just plummets back down to 3,000 again. So I'll look at it. Next time it hits 3,000, next time it plummets, I'll probably buy in. I'll buy in when I think it hits the low and expect it to climb back up to 8,000 again before it falls. I just don't see it getting that. I don't see it getting that big. All right, hang on a second. Wait, I'm reading. Zach sent me a message, and okay. Zach, I just read your messages from this morning. It's funny. All right, but yeah, it could be. I just don't think. I think Mike thinks it's going to be the biggest thing in the world. I just don't see it. I don't see it blowing up and becoming IBM. I don't see it becoming Amazon.com. I just don't see that, or Google. Perfect Blue says, "I think they meant hippity hoppity, get off of my property. It's an anarcho-capitalist meme." Really? Swinging Cod says, "Let's be honest, Cyberfrog is coming out with dynamite," says Swinging Cod. Well, that's not being honest. That's a theory. But wait and see. Wait and see. Everything in its time. Everything in its time. Alexander L says, "Why is he Zach if his name is Richard?" This is a good question. Here's why. His name was unknown. He wanted to be anonymous. I'm going to turn my camera on. Hold on a second. Oh, Cecil's in there. Hey, Cecil.
Hello.
Hello. I'm going to turn on my camera. Oh, look at this guy. Look at this like worm's eye view of me, Cecil. Can you see it?
Yes.
It's like I'm making people kneel before me.
It's a view I've never wanted to see you from. It's an angle.
It's like, yeah. It's if you're looking at me from this angle, I don't know. Your mileage may vary, with that regard, but you can see right up my nose.
Looks like you did a trim. It's not that bad.
Yeah. By the way, shave your neck, everyone. A lot of people don't do this. You got to shave under here. This looks horrible when you don't do that. When you don't shave your neck, you become a neck beard. All right, so here's why Zack is, or here's why Richard C. Meyer is called Zack. Now, first of all, he was called Diversity in Comics. He didn't want people to know that his name was Richard C. Meyer.
He was Diversity in Comics?
Yes. He was Diversity in Comics, Cecil. He had a great YouTube channel called Diversity in Comics that was criticizing the comic book industry in a real way. It was substantial. It was absolutely awesome. Now, Heather Antos, other weirdos, they discovered they were so bothered by his criticism. They were so irritated by it that they went out of their way to dox him and find out that his name was Richard C. Meyer. And then they went all over the internet like, his name's Richard C. Meyer. And they called him, they didn't just call him Richard Meyer. They called him Richard C. Meyer. Richard C. Meyer. Richard C. Meyer. Now, this wasn't good enough for some people. Some people actually listened to Zack every day, and they said, Zack, or they said, this guy Diversity in Comics, I don't know, man. He just sounds like he's a guy. He sounds like he's a dude that works at the Sunny D factory named Zack. Like, that's what they pictured him to be. It's Zack from the Sunny D factory. They thought he was kind of like a 90s Burger King Kids Club kind of stereotype. What would you say, Cecil? Is that close to being true?
That's it. He was, like Zach Morris from Saved by the Bell. He was a 90s kid. He was always going on about 90s comics, the 90s and 90s. So, yeah, Sunny D. Zach works at the Sunny D factory. That's my understanding of it. Right.
So then he would open up all his videos like, hey, it's your boy Zack from the Sunny D factory. Before you knew it, I mean, I don't like the name Richard C. Meyer. No offense.
Sounds like a square.
Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it that much. I really like Zack.
It's a CPA's name.
Yeah. It doesn't make me think of who he is. Zack is just way more interesting. Is that a better view? What do you think, Cecil? No, it's not gonna work. This isn't gonna work. I can't fucking. I need something. I need a place to put my camera. Right now, I rest it on my lamp.
Why don't you just buy one of those little arms for $5 on Amazon?
I have Cecil. What are these? Look at this tangled mess here. What it's like. I got a million of those. My desk has a quadrillion arms right now.
It's a poor carpenter that blames the tools, Ethan.
Oh, that is true. I blame all the tools, though. Fucking tools. Yeah. So that's where your boy Zack came from. Tickus says, donate now, guys. He needs a place for his camera. Look how he suffers so. Thank you. Finally, some sympathy.
Also, a lot of people may not realize this, but Diversity in Cecil is slightly based on Diversity in Comics.
Yeah. I got the feeling that you were inspired by that. You were inspired by him a little bit.
I am changing the name of my channel, actually.
And in a way, also, I get the feeling that, your avatar was inspired slightly by mine, even though mine has been updated.
Let me see. I do. Now that I look at it, I do see it. Yes.
Yeah. A little. It's a tribute. A little bit motivated. Kind of like inspired by, I would say.
Yeah, that was sent to me by Benjamin Hobbs. He did that avatar, and now that I see it, yeah, it does look a lot like yours.
I'm not going to sue. Welcome, your boy Zack.
Zack. Also, I'm changing my channel to Fecal Matters with your boy Cecil.
Oh my God. Zack, how you doing today?
Pretty good. I woke up and I was having a battle about whether I should do a video or not, but I decided against it. So
just come out here. Yeah, I got to get back to. I promised people 100 Brie Larson videos, but
oh gosh,
I don't know if I can do it. And honestly,
stop. It's so. I think you're gonna screw with your algorithm real bad if you do stuff like that.
That did occur to me, but I'm tired of it. Like, I can't look at her anymore. Like, I would be angry. I'm a happy guy. If I really sat down and did 100 Captain Marvel videos, Brie Larson videos in a month, I'd become angry. I think I'd become embittered, and I don't want to.
You may fall in love.
I thought it was in a week you were going to do it.
Yeah, but that became unreasonable because here's the problem with that, Zach. YouTube only recommends or sends out notifications for 3 videos per 24-hour period. So, if you do more than 3, your 4th video, nobody's going to come see it.
Yeah.
That's going to F with your algorithm. Now, imagine if you do 11 videos in a day that YouTube doesn't send out notifications.
They'll probably nerf you for 4 days and not give anyone anything. The other thing is, I think this Steven Crowder thing, I literally think someone can make a case. It's like, this is harassment. Bullying.
Because I'd be harassing and bullying Brie Larson. Yeah, I don't know. Also,
I don't really like those videos. I don't watch them.
Yeah.
Anytime you're singing, anytime I see a keyboard, oh no. And then yesterday you started putting singing in the middle of a regular one, and that was
like when I sing, I just immediately start singing to something. Like I just start singing. You don't like that?
No, yesterday you started composing a song, and you'd already done a keyboard one. I said, okay, this isn't for me. Like they always say, it's not for you. Okay, so if I see a keyboard, it's not for me. But you were just talking about comics, and then you're singing a song. Oh no,
it might be a little OCD, Zach, because you're like, this is a talking live stream, not a singing live stream, and now he's mixing it up, and you don't like that.
Zach does not like. Here's the thing about Zach. Like, how some people get skeeved out by certain things like textures or something like that. Zach gets skeeved out by men. Like Zach, I don't think he has this problem. Like if there was a woman who was singing, that'd be one thing. I don't think he'd be bothered.
Yeah, no, you're wrong. I pretty much exclusively listen to comic stuff. And if you're not talking about comics, I'm out.
No, but Zach, but this isn't that. What I'm saying is you have an OCD reaction where you get skeeved out by men's faces, okay? By body parts. Like, remember when people would see your ankle accidentally and you'd be like, oh, I'm so sorry, and you cover up. I'm sorry that you had to look at an inch of my flesh. That's weird, okay? Like, people are like, it's his ankle. But you'd be like, I'm so sorry that got on the camera. By the way,
how many times have your ankles gotten in your videos?
I don't know if they ever have, because I don't really do videos the way that you have, but like, if they did, I'd just be like, whatever, somebody saw my bare shoulder the other day because I was wearing a tank top and I put the camera.
So I contacted Vox and said you were harassing me yesterday with all the music.
Well,
just so you know.
Oh shit. Not Vox. I mean, you contact YouTube and let them know.
No, that's the website that guy works for, Vox. Carlos something. And I said, Carlos, I feel your pain because I'm also being harassed by a white man.
By me, yeah.
Wait, Ethan, your whole feet were on a video. You drew with your feet once.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Zach would not have been able to deal with that. So what I'm saying is this. There are things that skeeve Zach the fuck out. Like Zach said, Ethan, where he's like, first of all, my advice for you. And this was well taken, even though, he said, keep your face off of YouTube. And I said, like my face? He's like, no, all faces. Like men should not show their faces, just be a voice. And Zach has kind of stuck to that. Like you don't really see Zach ever talking. And when you did see him, it's like seeing Zach's face actually on camera it's upsetting. Not because Zach is an unpleasant looking fellow, but because we're just not used to it. He's a set of hands with extremely long thumbnails, gesturing at a book. At a comic book in his lap. Like that's who Zach is. He's not really there.
That was actually one of the first things when I started the channel 2 years ago. Somebody sent me a link to I guess there's an indicator of heart disease and heart malfunction if you have weird shaped fingernails. And there's actually a test you have to do. And I passed the test, so I don't have it, but I was close.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I might have it. I mean, my people, I didn't know. I really didn't know I had misshapen hands. I mean, my hands do excellent things. They create beautiful art. They create beautiful piano music, Zach, as you've been implying here today.
I noticed like when you're saving those frogs from your pool, like I almost feel like death is better than being in your hands because they're very.
What the? No. I wouldn't say that.
They're so weird. If you drew hands like your hands, you would redraw them.
No, I do draw hands like my hands. And by the way, and that's
what what is that, Calabac or something?
No, on Green
The
Lantern.
Abomination.
People have been saying that. People go, "Will you learn to draw thumbs?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Because sometimes what I'll do is I'll sit there and I'll go, "Okay, I want to draw. I'm drawing Green Lantern. I'm drawing a fist, like he's holding up the ring. So I'll take a picture of my own fist from a certain angle, and then I'll just copy it. And then people go, "Why can't you draw thumbs?" I'm like, "It's photo referenced. What do you mean?" But it's photo reference from my deformed hand. That's why they're saying that. For God's sake. But in any case, I think my hands are nice.
You're in the rare position where if you were doing, woodworking and you hit your hand with a hammer, it would almost guarantee to look better.
Zach, that's just uncool. I mean, that's unkind. I don't know. I think my hands are okay, and maybe my thumbs are weird. My little sister has these thumbs too. I didn't notice. Again, I grew up with everyone, and she took a picture of herself holding like a flower, just her hand. My little sister, and it's like, oh my God, her thumbnails are worse than mine. I didn't notice this about us.
Ethan, you're not a thalidomide baby, are you?
I mean, that's just, that's you guys know what thalidomide is,
and nobody under 40 knows what a thalidomide. But if it's literally like a test, like what is the thing? If you're over 40, you have to get a rectal check at your yearly exam for
that's what I tell them.
Cancer.
That's what I tell them. Yeah.
Your doctor should make a thalidomide joke, and if you laugh, you're like, "I'm sorry, we have to put the glove on. We have to do this test. You're over 40."
I did a great drawing of thalidomide Dr. Octopus a couple years ago, and it was literally like Dr. Octopus with no, like with flippers, but also his tentacles were flippers, and it was not well received. Wasn't well received by Marvel Comics. But in any case, Zach, I don't know if you're aware of this, but Warner Brothers is not coming they're not coming to San Diego Comic-Con, as it turns out.
I think it's smart, but so I saw this still, and I had an immediate strong reaction. And I usually have takes that are kind of different than other people. So I sent it to a couple people, and everyone liked it. Mm-hmm. I liked it too. That was my immediate reaction. I said, I like this. I think it looks great. But I can see like, oh, it's a big change. Everyone liked it. Mm-hmm. But not going to San Diego Comic-Con is just like a good idea for everyone. Like, it's the worst. I can just like when I was in New York City. Well, actually, New York Comic-Con is a fairly solid convention. It's a pretty good convention. I only went there because it was like a 10-block walk. I only recommend San Diego Comic-Con to people who live in Old Town or Coronado or I don't know. If you're out in Chula Vista, no. These are San Diego neighborhoods. Literally, if you have to drive there, I don't recommend it. It's not a good con. It's not fun. It's overpriced. It's like the one weekend a year where San Diego is actually hot.
Yeah.
You said about that, what was it? Dragon Con used to be in Florida in February, and it was great.
Yeah.
Yeah. They figured out the one unpleasant week of the year, and that's when they schedule San Diego Comic-Con.
Yeah, I went to San Diego Comic-Con a few times in the 90s. And then it
was fun in the 90s. I remember wide aisles and like just walking around. I don't remember like being destroyed with people.
The thing about San Diego Comic-Con that's most frustrating to me is, first of all, it's going to be a lot of work. But second of all, there are things to do, and it's just like, how do you do everything? How do you meet anybody? How do you see anybody? Like, there are all these celebrities that are going to show up, and they're going to do panels. You might get into one of them if you wait outside all day long for it. I can't do it, man. I just can't do this. Now, when you're a guest to the show, it's pretty cool. When you're a guest, they treat you like first class. And I was a guest. I got to meet Tori Amos. I got to hang out with My Chemical Romance. I had a really, really nice time.
Okay, I have no idea what decade this is. Tori Amos and My Chemical Romance. Was it
2007, 2008?
Oh, so she was on the slide down and they were on the slide up, or the
probably, yeah.
I feel like Lisa Loeb might have been there too.
No, that's you can't triangulate between Lisa Loeb, Tori Amos, and you'd create a time paradox. There's no
What was Lisa Loeb, like 2002 or was
No, Lisa Loeb was like 1993.
Yeah.
Oh shit, you're right. You're right. She was in they were making fun of her on Mystery Science.
She had already like reclassed as a registered nurse and was like working in Oklahoma 10 years before this happened.
God, she was awful. So awful, man. All that music was so bad. I was thinking about that. You know, at the same
Dude, I'm watching Dumb and Dumber, and it's so hard to watch it because Dumb and Dumber was like right in that really bad emo grunge pop phase, and they have it on every single scene. All the transitions between scenes are these trash, like 1993
not
emo.
93. 93 was good. You know what it was?
No, they found every bad song from 1993 and they put it into the soundtrack.
I think honestly, I think there was the best period for music in the 90s was from 1989 to 1993. Right in there. That was Nirvana, but it was also like everybody put out their best albums. My favorite bands, like Depeche Mode put out Violator.
I feel like 40% of a decade is too much to narrow it down. My favorite part of the 20th century was 1914 to 1968.
1914.
You got to narrow it down. Like, be bold. Say a year. What was the year that was the best?
Oh, for me, like if I could live in any one year, it would be 1957. I would live my entire life in 1957. You know, I mean, look, that was the birth of like the fast food restaurants. Ray Kroc with McDonald's. That was Elvis Presley just broke out. Television was good, like it was finding its footing. There was prosperity. Ike was president. I could live in 1957. What do you think?
I thought we were talking about 1990s music. I got no answer for this at all.
You said 1914 to 1968.
It was a joke because the whole thing when you say like, oh, 90s, you basically said half of the 90s almost.
Right. Well, the 90s. Here's the thing: the 1990s started out great and ended horribly. That is the thing about the 90s. The 90s at the beginning was fantastic. Every album coming out of the 1980s, everyone was working at their peak, and I think it was just had to do with the political climate. It had to do with a lot of stuff. It was Reagan leading into Bush.
The fall of communism.
The fall of communism. So I mean, you just had great stuff. Like even like every single album, U2 put out great music. The B-52s put out Cosmic Thing, which was like an amazing album from a weirdo band. All of the music of that period, REM's Losing My Religion, all of it was great. Nirvana, 9 Inch Nails, and then something happened.
You know the weirdest thing about the B-52s?
What?
Is you could rearrange the voices between all of the members and it would not seem weird. Everyone's voice fits everyone else's body.
Wait, you're blowing my mind.
I did an entire live stream where I sang.
Think about that.
Hang on. I'll be right back. Let me just grab a drink.
By the way, Zach, Ethan took your advice about not putting your face on camera because I sent him a picture of what I look like, and then he came back and said that Zach had good advice. Don't show your face on camera.
Hey, this is that awkward thing where you're out with two other buddies, and then the guy on the other side of the booth leaves, and then it's just you and some guy you just kind of know.
I'm back.
On one side of the booth.
Yeah. No, I disagree about the B-52s. I thought they had great stuff. There was something about the early 90s, and then everything fell apart.
No, I said they're good, but I'm saying all of their voices can be interchanged with each other.
How could Fred Schneider's voice be interchanged with Kate Pearson's voice, Zach?
It would completely fit him, and it would completely fit her.
She came from planet Claire.
She came from planet Claire.
Well, she's not.
Rock Lobster was a great song. I want to learn to play that on my guitar. And the thing about the B-52s is like if you want to play a B-52 song on the guitar, you can fucking do it. And the reason why you know you can do it is because they can do it. You know what I mean? Like that's reassuring. It's reassuring.
Well, they're like a Rob Liefeld thing where you're like, I can draw like that.
Yeah, well, none of those people know how to play their instruments. So it's like they just kind of stumbled across some kind of riff that's really catchy, but anybody can do it because they can do it. It's not like he's not Eddie Van Halen. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. You could figure that out in 5 seconds. It's the same thing with Ricky Nelson. No, not Ricky Nelson. Who's that guy? Jesse's Girl.
Rick Springfield.
Rick Springfield. I was like, I can figure out Jesse's Girl in 5 seconds. And Andrea was like, how? And I go, dun, 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 and I play it, and it's just power chords, and it's really, really easy. How did you do that? Because Rick Springfield can do it. You know, it's like if Rick Springfield can do it, pretty much anybody can do it. You know, you can just now if it's like I said, if it's like Eddie Van Halen, no, you know, it's like I can't figure that out. But if any of these other people can do it, I can do it. Absolutely.
Do you remember when Rick Springfield was the human target?
No.
What?
So, you know, now there's so many superhero TV shows and movies, but back in like the late 80s, early 90s, there was so few things. And there was articles about him being the human target, the DC character. And that was supposed to that was like 6 months of like comic movie news.
I would rather die than watch that. And I'm not even kidding. Like I
think it was a pilot or like a series that got canceled super quick, like 3 episodes.
Yeah, I would.
It was like him and Clarence Clemens. Can someone please Google that and let me know if I'm just completely hallucinating and there's mold in the walls?
There was a superhero show with Rick Springfield and Clarence Clemens, the sax player. From
I'm gonna get on my tablet, and I'm almost sure that. I'm actually going to be worried for my health if this is just completely false.
I think you just
it's a weird hallucination.
Clarence Clemens, the sax player for Springsteen, and Rick Springfield were on a superhero show.
Yeah. Real Ghostface said the best album from the 90s was Use Your Illusion 2 by Guns N' Roses. See, I mean, there was a point where people were like...
All right, I'm not crazy. 1992 series.
What the How is that not talked about?
Rick Springfield as Christopher Chance.
I don't want to
7 episodes. They made it 7 episodes. But Clarence Clemens, I believe, was just a guest star.
Oh.
Let me look that up. Rick Springfield, Human Target. You know what? I looked up Human Target and it tried to put me to Human Touch. We all need it. The human touch. I'm doing it again, Zach. I'm saying
Zack.
Need it. All right. All right. So here's the Human Target. Let me show
the original unaired pilot. Musician Clemens played Chance's pilot. I do not have early onset dementia.
This was on. They did 7 episodes, 1 season, 7 episodes. The Human Target is an American action television drama series broadcast in ABC in the United States. It on planet Earth. It is based on DC comic book character of the same title, created by Len Wein and Carmine Infantino.
What?
It is. And developed for, Carmine Infantino. I could tell you some stories about him.
I was just reading some comic history. I guess he was like a strike buster or a union buster.
Not only that, he had sticky fingers. And the great thing about this is comic.
Was he a Gil Kane? I just heard about that like 2 days ago as well.
Yeah. Both of these guys are
scandalous.
Yeah. I was in a limousine with Gil Kane in the 90s, and I've told this story before. I remember
you sat on your wallet.
He was like he was on a cell phone, and he was going, ha ha ha. I talked to this guy, and he said he was making $50,000 a year in comics. Ha ha ha. I said to him, if you can't make $70,000 a year in this industry, you're a fucking loser. Ah, ha, 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 ha. And I was like, I'm making 35 right now, motherfucker.
Damn.
Yeah.
Put you in your place.
Yeah, I know. And I just like, honestly, watching this guy just cackle into his phone about that has stayed with me this whole time. It's like, do you have any memories of Gil Kane? Yeah, that. I remember that.
All the old school guys, they were all gangster types.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember going to conventions in the 80s, and like the older pros were scary. They all looked like they were in the mob.
You know who looks like that now? What's it? Oh shit, what's his name?
Wade.
Who? Mark Wade? No, Mark Wade doesn't.
Now I'm just imagining some kind of Simpsons scene. It's like we've taken over the tantrum industry, and he's kicking all the actual babies out. Get out! This is our territory.
Yeah. You know who's like that? Jim Steranko. I love Jim Steranko because here's
that's who I was thinking about. He's
Now-
like the nice mob guy. He's like your uncle. You always suspected he was in the mob, but he's your favorite uncle.
he is my favorite uncle for real. Jim Steranko. By the way, people go, well, there are no Republicans in comics that, and Ethan, you're the only one who gets persecuted because you're an asshole. Other Republicans do great. Are you going to tell me Jim Steranko's an asshole? He's a Republican, Trump supporter. Look at him right here. You know what he is? He's like, this is a guy who was like, hey, when I was a boy, I was on the streets with my friends. We started a doo-wop group. And then before you knew it, and it cut to a scene of him and three other dudes, like young guys, and they're talking to a mob boss who's going, do me a favor, sing My Mother's Eyes. So I don't sing My Mother's Eyes. I haven't sung that in a long time. Hey, Jimmy, you do me a favor, I'll do you a favor. And that's who Jim Steranko is. Jimmy Steranko is like, he would have been a doo-wop superstar in the 1950s. Like,
I don't see him as a singer. I see him as a guy with a Cadillac and a bag of lye in the trunk.
Oh yeah. Well, no, but he would get mob ties over time. Like, obviously, because he'd be like Sinatra or he'd be like Frankie Valli. Like, he'd be doing favors for the mob. Eventually he'd get mob ties and everything. And yeah, I mean, he could whack out some dudes. I hope he does.
He looks like he has a snub-nosed 38 in every single pocket.
Oh my God, I hope so. And what a great head of hair on this guy. And I'm telling you.
Okay, so we got to talk about that because that's my question. Yeah. Every person who's ever met him, he's an awesome guy. He was like an escape artist. He's done everything. And I always say, is that his hair? And every single person says yes.
Yeah. I'm just going to say yeah, because I don't want to end up in a hole. Yeah, I have no idea. I mean, I've been close to him and everything. I think he's probably like, first of all, he is fully direct. He does not care what you think about anything. Like, he doesn't care. He's but at this point, he's kind of suspicious of people. When I met him I guess like the first time I really met him and spoke to him when we became friends, I walked up to him and he was just like, hey man, how you doing? And then somebody said to him, that's Ethan Van Sciver. He's one of us. And Steranko literally.
You're an escape artist too?
No, Steranko, he literally pulled me into his booth. Like behind it. Hey man, shaking my hand. I don't know though. I don't know how things are going to go. I'm like, what are you talking about? Things are going to go great. We're going to hang on to, the Senate and we're going to win again in 2022. He's like, you think so? And we had all these political conversations about Trump and he was so excited. And since then he's been my buddy. I think Jim Steranko, by the way, Jim Steranko did come out in support of Trump and they came after him too.
I remember that. I remember where I was working. I remember being on a break, and it was like Attack of the Soy Boys.
Oh my God!
It was over literally like one tweet. It was just like, and it was the same thing with Breitweiser. Hey, I'm glad. Here's to 4 good years for America, and all like it's like the Gartham from Dark Crystal.
Yeah.
It was all these like soy boy Gartham just coming out of like stage left and stage right. And like, where did all these people like they sent out an all points bulletin within like 20 minutes. Every soy boy in Portland was freaking out about someone, they hadn't talked about ever before.
Yeah. For real though. I mean, it was like the disrespect. I mean, it's one thing to come after me, but I mean, it's another thing to come after Jim Steranko. Who, to me, I think he's
a legend, a living legend.
He's just one small notch under Jack Kirby. I mean, this is a guy who's a legend. Now look at these people reacting. Jim Steranko is voting for Donald Trump. Oh, Jesus, Steranko's a Trump supporter. Frowny face. Oh my God. Here's Jim Steranko, by the way. Trump may be out of the country, but I'll be here for Steranko Sunday. Like, this guy's awesome. Let me see. 2 years ago, a different Steranko urged everyone to vote for Trump, and I've been cleaning up that mess ever since. Oh, this is fake Steranko. This is an account. Steranko's a Trump supporter and proof that old comic creators should stay off Twitter.
Oh, that's my old account, fake Steranko.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to do that too. Steranko thinks Trump is Nick Fury. They totally not surprised by Steranko supporting Trump. I feel fairly lucky. The only people I blocked due to pro-Trumping are Trump himself and Jim Steranko. How am I supposed to feel bad about being blacklisted by these people? You know what I mean? When this is how they treat actual like living legends, people who are deserving of their respect. Bleeding Cool does an article. See, Bleeding Cool wants to kind of put gasoline on the fire, and they do it this way. Jim Steranko wants you.
Dude, Bleeding Cool. Oh my God. That stuff with Vertigo. They wrote an article about the Vertigo collapse.
Yeah.
It felt like a murderer writing the news article. You know, Sally Jenkins was found in the street. It's like the murderer writing it. It's like it was like passive voice.
Yeah.
Vertigo just ended for multiple or one reason. Nothing really to see here. Let's all congratulate Andy Corey on his promotion to Young Animals.
I did a live stream reading that. And I mean, the one thing I said, first of all, you're going to see Rich Johnson create a new narrative for why this happened. And you're going to see that
big corporate infighting, not a complete public disaster.
Well, he's not going to mention Andy Corey. He didn't mention Andy Corey's name once in that article, not once. And what he tried to do was he tried to basically say, look, DC fucked up by firing 2 women.
I didn't make it that far. I actually rage quit the article once I saw he was using the passive voice for everything. He actually tried to blame it on firing who?
Yeah, he said Vertigo was great until they fired Karen Berger, and once they fired Karen Berger.
Did they fire Karen Berger?
Yeah.
That was definitely a bad decision, but there was no reason any competent editor could have, read every freaking. You don't even have to know Vertigo. You go to any library in the country, there's at least 3. Okay, so here's 3 Vertigo books. You get it? It's it's a little emo, but it's high quality. And now they destroyed that, and they've already destroyed Black Label. Only 2 books have come out. It's already trashed.
Yeah. Black Label is that's their hope. Their hope is to just kind of transfer everything that they were going to do with Vertigo onto Black Label.
But the whole point about Black Label is it was supposed to be exclusive, top shelf, and now it's like the stuff we canceled Vertigo when we have this trash miniseries that's already halfway done. It's Black Label.
They've got Kelly Sue DeConnick, who I don't consider to be on the same level as Frank Miller.
Sounds like someone hates strong women.
Okay, good. Yeah, I don't.
By the way, Kelly Sue DeConnick got put on Aquaman, coming off of it making $1 billion.
Yeah,
and she's down at 24,000, 6 issues in is nothing.
Yeah,
This industry is filled with absolute frauds.
I know. I read comics and I honestly don't get it. I don't feel as happy as I used to when I'm reading these books. I mean, you did a great video the other day. Just a random issue of Captain America fighting the armadillo, and it was so
good. People are so happy.
Yeah.
He even had a downer ending. The armadillo tries to kill himself and he possibly paralyzes himself, and then Hawkeye's like, "What is all this all about?" And then Captain America goes, "Love," because he's in a breakup. He's in this slow motion breakup, and you're like, "Oh, that was kind of dark."
Yeah, but it the thing about it is that those comics, in their simplicity and in their fun, that's what comics used to be. You just go, well, who is this villain? Who is this awesome villain? And he's just, the armadillo. He just looks so great.
You would be great at that type of character.
Well, I'm great at every type of character. Zack.
Well, what I'm saying is, back in the day, usually when someone became a bug or monster, an animal-based monster, they were still 95% a humanoid shape.
Yeah.
With the armadillo, he's literally just a giant armadillo.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Who stands upright somehow on his teeny tiny rear legs.
Yeah, but like he's a neat shaped character.
Sorry, we took over comics, everyone. Not actually. Sorry. Google find replace accidentally with destroyed.
Or took over. Yeah, sorry, we accidentally.
Isn't this the same face of that woman who's like best part of your day? A guy who drove 3 hours and got kicked out of a whatever that was.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's the same. All of this is, I know this is a cliche, but it's 40 and 50-year-olds trying to relive high school, and they're the cool kids this time. They're the bullies. Congratulations. You just got handed a character that 1 billion people love. Yeah. And you sold the population of, 1/8 the population of Ottumwa, Iowa is your sales. Congratulations.
Yeah. You know what's interesting?
Slay Queen. Slay Queens.
I just see Jay and Silent Bob back here, and I'm like, what the like, that's where my eye goes. Jay and Silent Bob.
Oh, they're in there?
Yeah, they're right back there, I think.
I'm on a cell phone. I can barely see this picture.
It looks just like them back there, those two guys. But yeah, they're all Jamie Marchi, Umbrella Guy points out. Jamie Marchi's whole thing, like that leer, like these faces of just hatefulness. And I mean, it should be fun, but there's spite behind it. There's something psychotic and spiteful.
You don't see this expression on. You remember in the early 90s when even like Rob Liefeld and McFarlane, they were kind of losing their minds.
Yeah.
They were so popular. They're so successful. They were actually temporarily insane. They weren't this cocky. You know what I mean? Can you imagine like 24,000? That's right, bitches.
24,000.
Like you have Aquaman. You have nothing but shill media puff pieces. You have Aquaman coming off the heels of $1 billion.
Yeah.
You're down there at 24,000. You're not even making royalties.
Yeah, I know they're not making. But
one of the craziest things about SJWs is they have no embarrassment for failure.
Mm-mm.
Somebody made this great analogy in the comments. They said the current comic book industry is this MC Escher drawing where you can fall up the stairs.
Right. That's so true. I mean, these people, the failure does not dissuade anyone from giving them more and more work.
What's your prediction for Andy Corey?
President of the world. This guy fails so hard. He's going to become emperor. I don't know. First,
the minute Zack and I talk about somebody, the minute we actually place the blame on someone in particular, that's when they should be thanking us, because they will be promoted. And the minute I say that,
they will literally say in meetings, "Oh, am I being fired? Because if you fire me, then that means you're on this side." And they're like, "Oh shit, no, you're not fired, Andy. You're promoted. You're."
Yeah. Well, no,
here's young animals.
They have that conversation. I just think they go, you know what? Fuck these guys. Fuck these guys. You want the EIC position? You can have it. And everything that they do in reaction to Comicsgate is just self-defeating. I mean, Zack, as you know, and things that other people don't know yet, things that we've discussed here in private, as you know, we just keep rising, and we're getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and there are all kinds of new stuff that's going to come out, all kinds of new announcements. It's going to drive these people absolutely crazy. Every time.
I don't know if it will drive them crazy, because I see them already signaling defeat. And we were talking about, 6 months ago, the tweets used to be like, "Oh, crowdfunding, it's not all profit." And now it's the person going, "Hey, are those crowdfunding books come out?" And everyone's like, "Yeah, pretty much all of them."
Yeah.
Even with the, I think Cecil said it in a live stream. My lawyer said it in a live stream, which is disturbing. I feel like I'm overpaying now. But they said they both noticed the same thing. They go, "Did you notice when you were the diamond thing, the thing that would have been a freak out a year ago, like a 1 month straight freak out, it lasted for like 19 hours and it went up to almost breaking the law, and then it went right back down." Like they know how far they can go. And now it's just like, so I guess crowdfunding's a thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think when they get the news that you think is going to freak them out, they'll just pretend they didn't hear it.
You
Oh,
think?
whatever. Yeah.
I don't know. I think they're going to be very upset about it. But I mean, the thing about it is that you're going to we're going.
What can they say? They get handed properties. They have nothing but puff pieces, and they can't sell comics. It's a comic book industry. They were handed the keys to the kingdom for 4 years now, and they can't sell comics to save their life. And they're not even embarrassed of it. But eventually, these people who have business loans and they've bought footprints, they've bought property, they got offices, they got warehouses. At some point, they have to say, "Yeah, I need money."
I mean, yeah, back to those two in that picture, both of those women had characters from huge movies. It was Domino and Aquaman.
Oh my gosh, Domino. I actually buy that, and I'm the only person who reads it. And I keep forgetting it exists. It's about to get canceled again. Well, no, they make things uncancelable by rebooting them as miniseries. But yeah, absolutely awful. These people are complete. Well, no, actually, I cannot say that they're complete frauds. Gail Simone can write when she wants to. She just doesn't care to try. She's lazy. Kelly Sue DeConnick is okay. She's like solid. She is something that would have written fill-in issues. She would have written, backup stories and annuals. There was no way to make her, try to make her the next big thing. And they've tried. And you can fake, journalists and Marvel corporate into thinking she's a huge star, but you put her on the stands and she's selling 24,000.
Yeah, I so much of it is social. So much of it is just we want to hang out with these people. These people are making decisions.
But do you want to hang out? They seem like the meanest, most petty, boring people. I want to hang out with Jim Steranko. I don't care that he voted for Trump. He seems like an interesting guy.
Yeah. No, but Jim Steranko's a nice guy. But I mean, there a lot of people are making like big decisions based on dinners that they plan to have or parties that they plan to attend.
That's huge. That's huge. It's like I go here every 5 years. I go to this convention, and it's a thing that we always have. It's almost like mean to point this out. It's like you can have friends. You can just have normal friends. You can make friends with your neighbors. You can make friends with anyone. Like, stop. I saw this. Who did I see this with? Donnie Cates. He was going off. He's like, you're saying this about my artist, but he's my friend. It's like, Abay Canales is my friend, but if you don't like his art, you just don't like his art. Like it's not a thing. It's a business. They've turned this into a treehouse, and everything's collapsed. It's all broken. It's all broken. Like there's no fixing it.
Is Donnie Cates good? I'll go.
He is okay-ish, and he had the same problem that Snyder. Hey, did you notice how I selfishly turned this into a comic book conversation?
It's always been.
No, you were talking about Joe McCarthy and Elvis Presley.
Oh, sure.
He's got the same problem that Snyder and Tom King has. Promising, solid, ridiculously overpraised. Like 3 years into the industry. And now I can't finish his comics. Like I read them, they're solid. They have a beginning, middle, and end. Yeah, but he's gotten a little arrogant, and I think he's boring. He's more solid than someone like Scott Snyder. I handed that Batman Last Night on Earth to my buddy. He used to be into DC. He doesn't really like it, but he liked Green Lantern with Grant Morrison. So he was like, he comes up to me, he goes, are there two writers? I go, why? He goes, it's really good for the first 2/3 and then it's terrible. I go, well, that's Scott Snyder. He can never stick the landing ever.
Right. Well, here's the overall thing that I want to kind of point out here, and that's what this chat has been named for. San Diego Comic-Con is dying, and this is this was, I think, clear last year. It's becoming more clear now. Let fewer people, fewer big organizations who actually. I mean, you have to understand, San Diego was the one show that you needed to go to. You went to San Diego Comic-Con.
It felt like you were like, I remember being like pained, because they'd have the week of Bleeding Cool articles before and after, and I would be so jealous. I think 2014 was the last time it was like, you're not at San Diego Comic-Con? How can you not be there? Like,
but
what's wrong
Marvel
with you?
didn't go last year. Now it's like Warner Brothers isn't going to show up to advertise and discuss Wonder Woman 1984. The first official poster for Wonder Woman 1984 has been revealed. Very recently, a banner for the highly anticipated sequel made its way online after being spotted at the licensing expo. Not long after, director Patty Jenkins decided to share the actual poster for the movie, which gives Gal Gadot's titular hero a seriously colorful 1980s makeover. What the hell is this?
I mean, it's going to be like the final outfit or some. It's not. She's going to be in her classic stuff.
I certainly hope so, Zach, but I wouldn't count on that. I wouldn't take that for granted. Unfortunately, this might be the only official bit of marketing we get for some time. It was recently revealed via several reports that Warner Brothers won't be making a presentation in Hall H at San Diego Comic-Con next month, which they usually do. That means we won't be getting trailers for the upcoming DC movies such as Wonder Woman 1984 at that time. In response to this, Patty Jenkins, who I used to know quite well, took to Twitter to not just confirm that news, but to share the poster to help give fans a little taste of what's to come. Here's what she had to say in her caption. By now you've heard, Warner Brothers isn't going to be at Hall H this year. We're so sad to miss you there and waiting until December to start our official Wonder Woman 84 campaign in full. But the truth is we can just barely wait. It's pretty clear we're not going to see it get a trailer until much later in the year based on what she said here. As for the poster itself, colorful would be the key word. It's absolutely bathed in bright pink, blue, yellow, purple, and green, and a very stylized outfit. In the center, we see Gal Gadot as Diana Prince, aka Wonder Woman, in an entirely new outfit. Instead of the more classic look, the DC hero is decked out in gold armor, looking ready to go to war. I don't know if this looks like she's ready to go to war. Zach, you've been to war. Is this war?
I hate these puff piece, the writing style.
Yeah.
It's just always like, you're working in an office, your least favorite coworker has cornered you. They have all these like lukewarm takes and they talk like, unfortunately, like, no, you're an adult. The movie is going to come out later, so we'll get everything later. Like they're doing like this is some kind of like a tragedy. Like there's just, the thing is they're saying, oh, the trailer's not ready, but in years past they would make the trailer ready. It would be a priority because it was a big deal. But you can't, everyone always said, oh, comic conventions aren't in comics, but it was still like the kernel of them. You know what I mean? And now comic like is just broken. So what is a comic convention? It's nothing. It's people just dressed like something from a TV show that they don't watch. And it's families going, oh, I got all
that. We'll get to all that. But I just want to know, Zach, does she look like she's ready for war? Like if you saw this coming at you, you're back, you're serving your country.
Excuse me, Ethan. She's a woman, and every day is a war. Okay,
every day is a war. That's right. And
going through TSA, check out
maybe
the possibility that someone would ask for her phone number. Yeah. She wears mental armor at all times.
She looks like the Grand Marshal of a pride parade.
Yeah, Zack has been to war. Zack has absolutely been to war, and he's had other people threaten to bring him to war again. Zack, do you remember? Because I was watching that old Medicare video.
You dipped out for a second there. Oh yeah, you were talking about the Medicare one. That one was, oh god.
Zack, do what I say or go to war again. This time with me.
Gosh. This is a guy who was gonna sue me, and then it just fizzled out.
Well, yeah, it fizzled out. I played rope-a-dope with him on Twitter, which was pretty funny, in private DMs.
Where he used to pop up like every 3 months on something else, but I haven't heard from him in a year. What's up with this guy?
I don't know. I haven't heard from him in a little while either.
He sued someone he was suing someone for sending him a strobe gift because I guess he's got epilepsy.
He won.
And I checked into it, and yeah, it actually went up to he got a judgment, like a fairly big judgment, I believe. And I think he got a little cocky. He's like, I can sue anyone for anything. Courts are very, very specific on what you can sue and what's a credible case, and and then you could even win and just not get a judgment. It's like, yeah, the guy's guilty, but
yeah,
$1.
So Zack's been to war. He's been to real war. He's been to war or been threatened with war with Kurt Eichenwald. By the way, that Medicare video is absolutely epic. Watch the Medicare Kurt Eichenwald Part 2 video. It opens. It's entirely about Zack from Diversity in Comics.
Medicare had a live stream last night. It was about the Steven Crowder stuff, and I missed it. And I guess he does the same thing you do, where he deletes his live streams. Like
Yeah,
right
people
after
pick them up and they put them on other channels. You can still see it. You just don't. You'll just go look for look up Medicare and Crowder, and you'll find it. You know, somebody.
By the way, if Medicare ever puts you in if he ever decides you're in his targets, like it's over. I've never seen anyone survive. Like
he
that
does
guy
eulogy.
is a straight up savage.
He doesn't take anyone down. He does eulogies. Like he's there to pat the shovel.
That's an interesting take. I mean, I feel like I've seen him take. Yeah, but that is an interesting.
It's already over. He wants to sum up, and then just in case you had any doubt or
well,
confusion.
what about the? Well, no, I mean Monday Matt really killed him.
It was over. Monday Matt was over, and he was just
no, but that was in the live stream. I think I even was on listening. I always miss this one, but I just sensed that there was going to be a big deal, and they're like, "Share your screen." It's like,
Yeah, that was. But I mean, when he made the video, you know, of course, that was him like live doing it. But when he made the final Mundane Matt video, that was just like the eulogy. That was him. He just buried him, and he's patting the shovel on the dirt. That's it. That's the end of Mundane Matt's career. And every time he does a video like that, something that stays on his channel, that's what
so you're saying. He's like the crypt keeper or something like that. He just comes in at the end to talk about how you ironically destroyed yourself.
No, you know what he is? He is like the guy who laughs while he stakes a corpse to the ground. Like
I'm trying to bring it back to comments. So he's like the crypt keeper, and
I guess in a way, but he's just like, you're not getting up again. Like Mundane Matt, you're down, you're not getting up again. This furry.
The thing is, there was a way to salvage it. All you had to do was have a sense of humor about it. But he just
Matt?
Yeah, like, oh man, yeah, I said something dumb. But then I don't know. He tried to make it like super emotional. It's like you just kind of recount the news. Like, no.
I don't think so. I think it's tough to once you've betrayed your audience. I don't think you can have a sense of humor about that and get up. Like YouTube is, you know, your the trust that you have with your subscribers and all of that. Like you can't. There are rules that you play here. If you betray those rules, people just fall out of love with you and they just kind of go away. You know, I mean, there's who was it that just made a gigantic video attacking the Fandom Menace? This Ashley Trans, whatever her name is. She made a video, 16-minute video attacking the Fandom Menace. I guess I'm in it too. And Ashley Lynch. The rules are, even for people like Ashley Lynch, you don't go and you don't go, even though she borrowed a lot of content, you don't go and report her for, you know, stealing your content. You're allowed to do that. Like, that's just, it's fair play.
Oh,
and
did somebody report her?
I'm not saying nothing. Perhaps. So because of those rules, you know, you just kind of say that's fair play. If somebody's going to be critical of me, even if they're going to lie about me and put out like ridiculous videos, like I kidnapped my wife, and all of this weird stuff, you got to let it go. You just got to let it go. You can't sit there and report this stuff. And
hey, I got the sequel to release the book, Ethan. Release the wife, Ethan.
Release the wife. Yeah, you just those are the rules on YouTube, because if it's, you know, if you're reporting people are going to report you. So you just have to let people be free. And I think that kind of goodwill is what's expected. Like, those are the rules of YouTube. If you betray those rules, no amount of what can I tell you or apologies is really going to rescue you. And
why did you go into the Mike Miller voice? Why did you? Are you impersonating him so much that everything? By the way, on the video last night, when you scrolled through all of the 47 perks, it was literally like a Family Guy joke where it's like, it's funny, then it's not funny, and then they keep pounding the ground. I was like, oh, it's still going.
Yeah.
What was the final tally on those perks?
I didn't count them, but I mean, this is the thing. Like,
it was at least 30.
It was so many. Mike has it in his head that more is better, and I always bring you up just to ground people. Like, you know, Mike doesn't listen to me ever, but it's like, now, in order to save Mike from himself, I'll mention you. Like, maybe he'll listen to you have clout with Mike. So I'll be like, no, this isn't me recommending this. This is what Zack says. Zack said this to me. I'm going to impart it to you. Like, maybe that'll actually mean something. So you'll stop doing things like this. And who was I talking to? I was talking to Billy Tucci. Billy Tucci had this idea. Billy keeps trying to play the middle a little bit, and he's got to stop.
I was laughing when you were asking him how to pronounce balls correctly with the Long Island accent.
Because we know how we pronounce it here in Jersey and Philly.
Well,
but like,
the thing is, I got to say, you sound like you wear a tutu compared to like that Long Island accent is it's so like old school guy accent.
You have to say it sounds like I wear a
sound like you wear a tutu. And you guys are what, like 40 miles away from each other?
You gotta put it like that though. I mean, a tutu, you can't just
you know what you gotta look up, and you're gonna love it and you're gonna become obsessed with it. Find this video on YouTube. It's a bunch of Union stewards in like the 1950s trying to hash something out. Do you know this video?
No, Cecil's also
it's like
from
a city
Long
councilman,
Island,
and it's like, and they're all like, nobody has any chill. Everyone's 50 steak fat pounds overweight. Everyone's smoking. Everyone has like these thick heads of hair with like Brill cream in them, and they're all just roasting. It's like, no, we're done. We're not talking about that. They're talking to a city alderman. He's like, and it's like this really petty thing about like how big of a briefcase bus drivers can take on city buses. You know what I mean? But like they're going all out. They all sound like Billy Tucci.
It's a long way to go.
I'm just shocked by all this. I'm still trying to get over Zach's insult. Like, I'm like,
well, be honest, you sound like a girl next to me also, Ethan.
So the way to say it is balls like that.
Yeah,
because you're like balls. And
I didn't say that. You fucking. Oh my god. It wasn't anything like that, Zach.
Balls. You got to emphasize the B. You're like
balls.
Boo. But he says the B's got to like
I didn't
explode.
say balls.
You sounded like that. In comparison to Billy, you did.
God damn it. Oh, God. Zach. Oh my God.
Everything's not a song, Ethan.
Yes. Everything isn't Broadway. Stop Ethel Mermanizing everything.
Mermanizing everything.
Balls.
Do that again. That somebody clipped that. Somebody clipped Zach going balls. That was fantastic. All right, yeah, language. Sorry. Yeah, dark roast him, Zach. Everyone is saying R.I.P. EVS. They're shocked. This has become an Ethan roasting stream. Ethan acting pretty tutu right now, so shifty.
Tutu squad. If you're in this one, you're in tutu squad.
Yeah. Fuck all that.
By the way, Zach, I have to correct you. Before, Ethan was not talking about Elvis Presley and Joe McCarthy. He was actually just talking about himself. He was comparing himself to them.
That's correct. A combination of Elvis Presley and Joe McCarthy. That's me.
Oh my God. Here we're going to start. Ting, 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 ting. Elvis and Joe. People don't know. And then I turn off, and now I'm watching Sweet Cat.
You just wrote a great opening song. Elvis and Joe. People don't know.
Oh, you're gonna say they had a relationship with each other? They were the first LGBTQ. Dun, dun, dun.
No.
They didn't want to show Elvis from his waist down because Joe was blowing him.
Oh my God.
True story.
Yeah. People are saying Zach makes EVS sound gay. Zebulon Pike says, can't wait for Medicare's take on Zach's betrayal of EVS.
This is one of the ones where you have to have the color photo get desaturated to black and white, and then you slow down. And then I'm like, you sound like you were in it too.
And then it's just me and my face looking broken, going all around me.
And then or I was thinking it's like, I can't stand to fly. But no, you're just better. Yeah.
They're calling you Ethel Van Sciver, by the way.
Oh. This is the worst day of my life. This is awful. Absolutely awful. Michael Horning.
Well, this is for people who don't understand. This is a reference to like the Facebook days of 10 years ago, where like every other post was you at like the South Poughkeepsie Holiday Inn, posing with someone from the talkie days. Oh, I got Ethel Merman to sign my gramophone.
You sign your gramophone. So you don't carry a gramophone around, Zach. That's heavy.
What is the old style record player that has that like?
That's a gramophone, but you don't carry that. What do you
You
nuts?
you would be like, Ethel Merman signed my gramophone. I'm going out for blintzes afterwards. Like, what was it?
Why not for blintzes?
I could go for a blintz.
Zach, what the
It was 5 years straight of you posting like that.
It was nothing like that ever.
Ethel Merman sings the blues. First stamping. I've got it. Near mint.
Congo Red Jr. says EVS needs to stop interrupting Zach. All right, I'll be more conscious of that. I will. Zach is.
Speaking of which, I got to check on something because I'm doing a bit and I can't tell if you like it or hate it. I think you hate it.
Mm.
When I'll scream like, release the like. I don't think you like when I do that.
What?
Like when I'll scream over you, like, release the book, Ethan.
Oh, when you like type it in the chat, or when you
or like, when I just scream it when in a live stream. I don't think you like that bit.
It's fine. I don't care. I'm used to it.
Okay, when you say it's fine, that means you don't like it. I'll stop.
Yeah. No, I didn't say it was. I didn't say I didn't like it. I'm fine with it. It's okay.
It's fine as how you describe a meal you don't like.
No, I'm not a bitch.
How was this?
You can do it. You can do your bit. I'm not going to stop you from doing it.
Stop being the fun police, Ethan.
Oh.
Go ahead.
This is called a Zack attack. People are saying Zack's hopped up. Release the book, Ethan. We know Ethan is old. What the F is even happening right now? Zack has gone incoherent, says Froglick. Snoop Dogg says Zack is alpha as fuck. Have a tissue. And John Shaughnessy saying now Ethan is in his feels. Comic Books in Cahoots says Zack is Don Rickles and EVS is Johnny Carson. Cecil is Ed. That's about accurate.
Hey-o.
Well, I don't know. Cecil, no, he's not Ed.
Right now he is.
All right, for this time.
Hey, so you're writing with Cecil. Have you started?
Almost.
Yeah. Look.
No, so that's a no. That's a no.
No.
Told me on some kind of flip phone the other day. It was like, yeah, it's good to me.
I called him from my basement. Let's not use telephones anymore.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Telephones.
No, I'm all about telephones ever since the Mark Alessi thing. Call me.
Telegraph for Ethan Van Sciver.
Oh my gosh. Telegram from Ethel Merman's ghost. Oh my gosh.
Bullet says EVS both owned and wrecked. Haha, dogpile EVS. Zach uses Morse code. Let me just catch up on some of the chat here. Black Russian Bot says roast them, Zach. Zach's in here with a flamethrower.
You know what is? I'm probably getting a little passive aggressive because I got that subject matter where I spent like 30 minutes. Should I do a video? Should I not do a video? Should I do a video? They want me to do, the person wants me to do a video. That's the way why they said this. But then if I don't do it, it's blah, 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 blah.
I think it's a combination of that and Ethan singing yesterday on the keyboard that's got you all.
Actually, it bothered me that you snuck it into what I thought was a safe. I need a safe space. When I see a keyboard in the thumbnail, I know it's going to be.
You avoid that one, right?
Why do werewolves not like vampires? They should be friends. And it's going to, and then you go, okay, that's cute. He's going to stop.
No. Shit. What are you talking about? I've never sung. I don't sing songs like that.
That's every song sounds like this.
Zach, not even one song.
Why doesn't Blob get on Weight Watchers? He has nice cheekbones. Deet, deet, deet. That's how your songs all sound to me.
God damn it. That's not what any of them sound like at all, though. Factually speaking, Zach, that's not what any of them sound like. How dare you?
This is like that war between Nirvana and Pearl Jam in the early 90s, except like super gay.
Yeah. Is it gay? I mean, I just, I want clarity here. And also I just accidentally deleted all of my tabs. So now I got to find the super chats.
You play the piano like you have flippers.
Like I have flippers? What does that mean?
It's very like what is the easiest thing I can just move up and down the keyboard?
Yeah.
Man.
And what do you mean?
Why is thalidomide bad for babies? It makes them look unique. Deet, deet, deet.
Zach, the thalidomide didn't make babies look unique. I mean,
You know the stories about they gave the wrong baby to the family. It was the baby next to. The benefit of thalidomide is you never got the wrong. You're like, yeah, that one's mine. Yeah, the one with the person, that one's mine.
Yeah. Everyone in the chat is going nuts. They're going, what is happening? Dark Rose Part 2. They're saying, I love Ethan singing. God damn. Zach going postal. Bullet called me Anne Murray.
I like when someone just type babies are annoying.
You gotta, in the meantime, I'm sitting here getting roasted by Zach, but I'm completely defenseless because I'm pissed off. I lost all of my tabs, and now I can't get the super chats that I'm trying to read for people.
By the way, how do you know Patty Jenkins?
She used to work at DC.
Wait, what? What?
He said that just like a throwaway line.
I picked up on it, but I thought it was like maybe.
Oh, shit. Wrong. Oh, my God. Wrong. Oh.
Yeah, she didn't work at DC.
Oh, no. I was thinking of somebody else whose name is almost exactly similar.
You were thinking about Leroy Jenkins and playing World of Warcraft.
Patty. Oh, my God. Yeah. Okay, so that was Patty Jenkins. That was for real. That was the director of Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
My bad. Yeah. I was thinking of somebody else.
Probably Ethel Merman.
Not Ethel Merman, dude.
Doris Day.
Yo.
He meant Patty Jenkins says, Patty, Paddy. She was a vaudeville singer. She used to sing into a giant cone.
No. I'll figure it out. I'll remember pretty soon. What happened? God damn it. All of my I'm trying to pull up my YouTube again, and it's gone.
You were talking about San Diego Comic-Con. Wonder Woman's not going there. San Diego Comic-Con is trash.
No, but it's sorry. This is.
Let's go to New York Comic-Con this year.
Yeah, I will go to New York Comic-Con if you guys want to go. You want to walk around New York City, New York Comic-Con? You want to put out a post that just says, if anyone sees Mark Waid, bring him to me. But make sure it's the real Mark Waid, because if it isn't, it could go badly.
What was scarier for you, knowing that Mark Waid put a hit on you, Kurt Eichenwald going to war with you, or a tour in Afghanistan?
Not really any of them.
All right.
I felt very confident in Afghanistan.
What do you mean you felt confident in Afghanistan?
I didn't think like anything could hurt me ever.
Yeah.
And that's also how I felt when Mark Waid threatened me.
Yeah, Mark Waid's threat was weird. That was a
well, then somebody tried to get him the answer, and he goes, "Oh, I just wanted to make sure I didn't have the wrong person."
Yeah,
because this is my theory. He had already worked. My theory about Baltimore Comic-Con, and from what I've heard, he's like, the guest for like 10 years. Is he knew the promoters very well, and he had set up a way to publicly embarrass me, knowing that he was going to get me kicked out. So he was going to yell, make a bunch of accusations, do a bunch of sanctimonious. Did you see his response to that Diamond Retailer thing?
No.
He basically said I was just protecting women.
He said I was just protecting women?
Yeah, he says that Dennis Barger was yelling "girl" and "hey girl" at the woman.
At what woman? At the woman he was with?
Yeah, but then he doesn't discount the rest of the conversation, which is a completely different subject.
I got to go over that and read that with you. We'll go through that. Do you mind doing that, or is that not appropriate right now?
It's fine. Like I said, it's a he said, she said with Mark being the she.
All right, let me
got him.
Zach, Zach is back, man. You know what? Honestly, Zach, you sitting there reading your comic books and reviewing old comics and wishing things were the way they were. You have not been yourself, man. This seems like Super Zach, man. This seems like you are you're ready to go back to war.
Okay, then let's pull the Band-Aid and let's talk about the thing that I was debating whether to talk about.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so people send me screenshots. It's Mag Visaggio on Twitter. And it said something to the effect of, certain people have been saying I'm a talentless diversity hire, but I've had 1,500 books or 1,500 pages printed, and I have a TV show.
Mm-hmm.
Those are two completely different subjects. I've never denied that she has produced a large volume of work, and I've never said that she doesn't have a TV show. She does have both of those. But what I was saying is that she's talentless in being a writer and attracting an audience. So, but I would say, just like, with Taken, she has a certain set of skills. She had determined to use the long box, the symbolic long box that is the comic book industry, as a step stool to Hollywood. And she's been very, very successful in that. She's been very unsuccessful in getting anyone to read any of her books, pretty much ever. So I thought it was a weird flex. I remember when I was active on Twitter, the Justin Jordan, he would every day give like this. It would look like a fraction. You're like, what is this fraction? He goes, oh, it's the pages I've written this year to date and the pages I wrote today. And I'm like, what?
Right.
How is that a thing? So, I found it very indicative of what is considered success. Oh, and then there was a shade, and it's like, in those 2 years, this certain someone has only published 2 books. And it's like, is it a page contest? A page count contest? And it was just so, but it was very kind of like, it was very bold. It was just, this is what we consider success. A number of pages and getting something made into a TV show or movie.
Well, I find that, first of all,
I consider success something different. I consider it a dollar amount and your books meaning something to people in their lives.
A lot of her success is owed to you, because this is kind of where you were starting the.
I debate that, because I think this was a foregone conclusion.
There's heat. You remember in the beginning of this chat, Ethan was talking about when you said how long before people talked about you, and it's 2 days. Any pro. There's heat. There's reason there's 1,200 people on a Thursday morning looking at this right now. It's because there's actual heat here. You have heat, Zach. You give her heat.
It's getting uncomfortable.
You make her worth talking about. There's really no reason to talk about her without you in the equation.
Well, I would disagree, because what happened was a kind of a perfect storm of someone being of a identity that suddenly became very fashionable. Someone getting a agent the first year in the industry, who gets with absolutely no sales, and the agent and her basically, weaponizing a fashionable identity. There's never that's why it used to flummox me. It's like, why are you bringing back Kim and Kim for the 4th time when they sell so terribly? Because it's so your agent can go into a production, a studio, and say, I've got this super popular client who is also trans, and they go, whoa, that's fashionable, and oh my gosh, look at all these comments, this person must be incredibly popular. They Google the name, they find 10 puff pieces that you ever wonder, when these puff pieces, they'll say something that everyone knows is not true. Popular best-selling author Schmer has another book, and you're like, no, it's all to fool studio. So in that way, Max is incredibly talented and successful in being a comic book writer, untalented and unsuccessful.
A grifter, Zach, is what you used to call Max Visaggio. You'd say a grifter.
A fraud. But I was looking at things too simply. The goal was never to be a good comic book writer. The goal was never to create properties that would become important to people and beloved in their life. It was, this long box is a step stool to Hollywood. I want to work in Hollywood, right. And I'm hoping Cartoon Network, because it's very, one of the things they're like, well, why did you make all these videos on her? Because even if I didn't understand it, exactly, I said, this is going to be really bad for the industry. When you're now promoting people who don't even want to be in the comics, who are
Yeah.
using it as a steps tool.
Yeah.
And I use the long box as a symbol because a long box is not made to be load bearing. Nobody steps on a long box. You're supposed to protect the books. It's just so, you know, something falls on it. It doesn't damage it. It's not meant to support a body or support you getting into another industry. So you get these people and it's always like, you know, Kwanzaa, it's never been about anything but getting black made into a TV show or movie. With mags, it was never anything. And this long box, and it's not meant to support weight. And it's crushed it. It's crushed the comics inside. It's crushed the stores. It's crushed basically everything.
Well, okay. So here, I want to bring clarity to Mags Visaggio, and this is my opinion of what's happening. And I don't talk about Mags because Mags and I used to talk in private. Mags went through a lot. From Mags's point of view, you know, Mags was being harassed and all this stuff. But let's just talk about one thing. First of all, people like Mags Visaggio and people who actually give Mags Visaggio way too much to do are part of the problem. This is a never-ending cycle because essentially somebody like Mags produces work which doesn't sell, and therefore, and Mags doesn't make any money, which causes Mags to have to write even more. And because Mags is now writing even more, the shelves are filled with books written by somebody like Mags Visaggio. Mags Visaggio churning out 1,500 pages a year is not a good thing. That's indicative of illness. That's indicative of an illness within the industry. The industry is not profitable. The industry is not actually a place that is prosperous right now. When untalented writers, Edward D. Wood Jr. Wrote way more novels, way more pages of a novel in 1972 than Stephen King did in that same year. And there's a reason for that. Because Edward D. Wood Jr. had to work his ass off because his novels weren't selling. They were garbage. And they were usually kind of about the same stuff that Mags writes about. I hate to say that, but it's true. It's nothing to boast about. Getting a TV show is good. Good for her. I'm thrilled about that. It's too bad it's going to be on the Sci-Fi Network, which is not exactly where good stuff happens, in my opinion. But this is the thing. There's something going on in the comic book industry right now that is just self-perpetuating, and it's the fact that the shelves are absolutely filled with garbage, and people are kind of telling each other that we need quantity over quality when the industry itself is collapsing under the weight of the amount of thoughtless shit that is being pumped into it by untalented people every single month. As page rates go down because of the shit, people have to write more to be able to pay their bills, and then page rates plummet even more. So somebody like Mags Visaggio is a symptom of the unhealthiness of the comic book industry. People like you and me, people say, well, Ethan's only done one book. He's done one book in a year. Yes, that's right. It made $840,000, and people are talking about it and looking forward to it. That's a model for health. That's a model for people can talk about, people can focus, people can plan to purchase one really, really good comic book per year by very, very talented people, such as myself and such as you, Zach. Not you, Cecil. Right. This is what it should be about. I mean, people actually producing better, fewer comics, but better comics. And I think that will be kind of an indicator of health. After all, how many books per year should somebody like Brian Bolland produce, or Todd McFarlane at this point? Todd McFarlane, how many Spawn books per year did he produce? As many as he could that would actually be of quality, and everybody wanted them. But the idea of writing 1,500 pages of Mags Visaggio stuff, you're just killing trees. You're just killing trees. Zack produces 2 comics. Those 2 comics gross $500,000. Is that correct or wrong?
You notice I didn't interrupt you for like the last 3 minutes.
I thought you had died, honestly.
No, that was a role like I've never seen you get on before, because one of the things you're getting into, although you didn't quite say it, is that Mags is actually a victim of circumstance. What happened is they used to say this in the military. It's like my leadership failed me, and it was usually an excuse from shitbirds, for getting drunk and wrecking a car. But sometimes it was. At any point, someone could have said, "Hey, your books don't sell. You need to come back with an awesome idea and a better script." And instead, they've kind of lured her into a not really solvent career. Like you said, this is effectively sweatshop. SJWs they brought back everything but the bubonic plague. They brought back witch hunts. They brought back censorship. They brought back segregation, and they brought back sweatshops. Mags has sweatshopped herself with the aid of Bleeding Cool and the 12 Weirdos on Twitter and all these people. And great. Now you did 1,500 pages and I did 240. And the other thing, we talk about the money because SJWs established that money was the metric of success. Nobody talked about the plot, the acting, the special effects from Captain Marvel. They said $1 billion. So I said, okay, we're going to use their rules. Money is the success. But I also see people asking about the next Jawbreakers book. I see people drawing fan art. I see it, not that it's not Daredevil or Dark Knight Returns or something like that, but I see people actually like it and it become part of their lives. They're excited for the next book. And that's success to me. Money plus having something that means something to people is a success and a goal. And I think it's a much more stable a platform and goal for an industry than I want to get $3,000 for being optioned by Rebel Wilson for a movie, and I want to get what are you going to get out of sci-fi movie deal? $40,000, $50,000?
I'll tell you. Do you want to know?
Yeah,
I'll actually give you numbers. She probably got $10,000 for the first year, and then a check. If they don't make it this year, they're going to hang on to it. She'll get $20,000 to hang on to it for the second year. The third year, if they don't make it, they still want it. 30,000. If they don't, that's kind of the way it's going to work. So she'll get a check every year that they hang on to the option that they don't make it. And if they make it, she'll get a little bit more money. But it's a Sci-Fi Network.
They're making it. So what is she going to make from making it? 80,000?
I don't know. That I actually don't know. I'm not sure because of the factor that it is the Sci-Fi Channel. Yeah, it's not ABC. It's not Fox. It's the Sci-Fi Channel. So who knows?
I'm just imagining this long box that people have been using for 3 years to step up, into a higher place, and the horrible condition that long box in the comics inside of it would be in. And that's the industry right now.
Yeah, I just I think that you really did step on something interesting though. Yeah, she is the victim of nobody stopping and saying, slow down. You don't have to do all this. And by the way, SJWs always say things like, well, Jack Kirby produced 4,500 pages in 1962. Name another one. And by the way, Jack Kirby was getting paid a minimum. I mean, these guys were getting paid $10 a page. So they actually did have to just pump out pages. But name another Jack Kirby.
Life.
Name another Jack Kirby. Name another person who was producing at that kind of pace that is memorable. There are very few. There are very few really memorable artists that were actually producing at that pace. And the reason why they were is because of the low page rates and et cetera, et cetera. Jack Kirby was an extraordinary talent. Once in a lifetime.
Yeah. I actually think there's something supernatural / just you couldn't copy him even in the same circumstances of life. But another thing, and you've said you're not that big of a Fourth World fan. I am. Somebody, it was Cumberbatch Pepperpot. I was going to say somebody, and then he spent $150, and I said, I have to say its exact name. Cumberbatch Pepperpot. He bought it's like 6 inches thick. It's all of the Fourth World, which is the New Gods, franchise. And he did, I believe it was, he first started with Jimmy Olsen, and it became New Gods, Forever People, Mr. Miracle. That book is fantastic. There is an epic in there. But you know what? The epic is like 1/6 of the pages. Five. Yeah. Oh gosh, now I got to commit to my own math that I already forgot. 1/6. 5/6 of it is generic. Oh, the gangsters are going into the haunted house. They left a briefcase with the jewels in there. Like it's worthless filler because he just had to throw everything out there. The actual good mythology is like 1/6 of those comics. He could have just concentrated on that. He could have not been, sweatshopping himself at the age of 55 or whatever. And it could have been the set of 4 amazing graphic novels that were each like 100 pages.
Mm-hmm. They're going to do the New Gods movie. They'll probably just boil it down. It'll be great.
Oh yeah. The New Gods movie 15 years ago when they rebooted, not this one, which is a disaster just waiting to happen. But yeah, it'll be very, very distilled. In fact, I think you could do New Gods in like a 95-minute movie. It's a very simple story.
Right.
I did a casting video on that. I decided that David Schwimmer will play Miracle Mope and Leslie Jones will be Big Barda.
That movie's going to be the biggest disaster possible, unless it's just taken out of King and DuVernay's hands entirely.
I'm actually looking forward to it.
Let me read these super chats here. Liberalism is to SJWs as socialism is to communism, says Get Down Demon. Only matter of how much power they wield. Raging Golden Eagle says McCarthy warned of communist infiltration, was made into a laughingstock and ran out of Washington, so now we have commies everywhere. Matt Horkin says y'all need to start doing gaming or makeup tutorial stuff before you get caught up in the bans. Poor V is threatening to go back to being a doctor. What do you think of this? Do you think YouTube is really going to come in and start kicking some ass?
What was it about being a doctor?
V is like, I'm going to stop doing YouTube. I'm going to go back to being a doctor.
Was he a doctor, though?
Yeah. Can you believe that?
Real doctor?
In Romania, though, Zach.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's hate speech.
Like,
what are you saying? What are you saying about Romanian doctors? I thought he was a student. I'm pretty sure he was a student. I think when he says doctor, he might have been talking about what is it called? Not when you're an intern. Intern.
I don't know. Who cares? I'm just saying, who cares what V's doing? That's not the point, Zach. I'm saying, do you think that we're going to get banned from YouTube?
No, I was following it last night, and probably you, like me, your DMs are blowing up. It's like, everyone's. From what I saw, Crowder only got temporarily demonetized, and there's a path to, hey, don't do this, take this down, don't sell this T-shirt, and it's a path back.
Yeah.
And that's very, very reasonable. I think you were talking about it last night when you weren't singing. YouTube is very reasonable. You really gotta read the.
I don't sing like that, Zach. I have a beautiful voice, and people say it's close to angelic.
So, it wasn't any kind of big disaster. It's basically like different rules for different people.
It backfired a little bit on them because now
they always overplay their hands.
Because
that's the biggest problem with SJWs.
It's stripping down Crowder because he has the attention of YouTube, is able to fix his situation. But now a lot of people got caught up in the ban on anything with Nazi, and a lot of people on that guy's side, I can't think of his name, Carlos, their videos got demonetized and stuff because they were talking about
this. Happens every single time, because they think like these people who spend all day on Twitter, they don't understand Twitter and YouTube. Like, it always has to come down to an algorithm. YouTube and Twitter don't have like these giant warehouses out in Phoenix and El Paso where they pay 1,000 people just to check on stuff. They probably got a couple dozen, and everything is like, okay, tweak the algorithm. You can't say queer Mexican, but then a guy who's a queer Mexican who has a blog, that guy says it's hate speech to say queer Mexican. And then you got a guy who says, hi, I'm so-and-so, I'm a queer Mexican, and I like to talk about sports.
Yeah, but it's contextual. People only pretend to not understand the difference between that. It's like there's no equivalent for me because I'm privileged in every single way. But let's just say that Mormonism was, being Mormon
I've
was
seen
a
people
marginalized thing.
say completely. I've seen people say completely bigoted, mean-spirited things about your. I don't know if it's your current former religion, and it's just like, oh, okay, yeah, different rules for different people. I think we all understand
Like
that.
I could say no. I could say I'm wearing my magic underwear right now, and that would be one thing. Okay, but if somebody else said he's wearing his fucking magic underwear, like
What is the
Mormon
proper term for it?
garments,
Is it garments with anything else, or just garments?
temple garments. That's what they are.
Garments.
Temple garments. Yeah. When you the magic underwear thing, when you go to the temple and you get married in the temple, which you're supposed to do, you make promises to God and your spouse that you remember the entire, like you remember by wearing these. You wear underwear. It's the closest thing to your skin that keeps the promises that you made to God and your spouse close to your heart. So you always remember them.
Well, not if you're Superman. If you're Superman, your underwear is the farthest thing from your skin.
It is.
Does that make him some sort of Mormon antichrist?
No, no, not at all. Superman is probably the most Mormon superhero I've ever heard. So
he's not that financially. Oh well, know what? He's a reporter. He always has like a really nice apartment, like on the 35th floor. So I think he manages his money quite well. Investments.
He has like 6 wives in the Candor city.
Is that what Candor is for?
Yep.
Excuse me, I got to go check on things.
The Mormons in the chat right now are freaking out. They're like, I didn't know you were Mormon. I was raised.
You used to talk about it a lot, and it used to get used in a bigoted fashion against you a lot.
Yeah.
Back in your Ethel Mormon days.
It's like I don't go to church. I'm not a Mormon, but I will. If somebody says Ethan's a Mormon, I'm going to be like, yeah, I am a Mormon. You understand what I mean? Like, it's like I'm not going to be like, these people are bullies, and they'll find anything that they can to sort of shame you.
Well, they did that with Romney. Like, they were just like openly bigoted. They're like, he's a Mormon, and that's a problem. Like, wait, what? Replace that with any other word. How can you just write blogs on salon.com about that? It's like something from like 1960. It's like, that Kennedy, he's a Catholic. What are you talking about?
Sweetcast is in the chat. He's a Mormon. He says, you want to go to church with me? Sweetcast, I've been there. You have to understand. It's like Mormons do that. They go, let me just bring you back to church. It's like, no, I've been there. I've been there for a long. I spent
never go anywhere with someone who calls themselves Sweetcast, because you're going to hear a door lock from the inside.
Right. They're saying you're a cultural Mormon. Yeah, that's right. I'm an ethnic Mormon. It's like somebody who's Jewish but doesn't practice.
Lapsed Mormon. You say lapsed Catholic, lapsed Mormon.
They call you a Jack Mormon. Jack Mormon, meaning that you're a Mormon but you don't play by the rules. And I guess that's it. But it's like you say, what are you? What's your religion? I'll always say Mormon because I'm not Catholic. I'm none of these other things. I guess my religion is Mormon. And if I had to go back to church, if I had to choose a religion, I would say I am Mormon. I would go back to church, but just it's not that important to me. But in any case, that's what it is. So where did this come from? Oh, this came from the fact that context is everything. So a gay guy can say, "Hey, I'm queer," but you, not a gay guy, cannot point at him and go, "You're a queer."
Well, Joe Rogan even he goes LGBTQ. It's the Q, and like we talk about LGBTQ all the time, but you can't say the word queer if you're not gay. And he was just like, "Where are the rules?" It's like, well, an algorithm.
That's a stupid. That's
an algorithm thing. Could do context, but it would take a lot more coding to do context. So they end up doing contextless. If you say queer Mexican, this guy was offended by it, so your channel is going to get zapped. Yeah. And the answer is like you were talking about earlier with Mundane Matt. The answer is stop bringing tattletaling into the adult world. Just let it go. And the other thing about that guy, I'm not an expert. Sometimes I talk about this. I started talking about an abortion bill a couple of weeks ago, and then I was talking about the wrong one. I was talking about a different states. But this guy, this Carlos guy, he in his Twitter bio, it says, Tucker Carlson is a white supremacist. Mm-hmm. Absolute defamatory, trying to destroy someone's life. Like, you're really going to say you're offended by someone saying something rude about you, every day when someone goes onto your Twitter, they see you calling someone falsely a white supremacist. The number one way to destroy someone right now, falsely, he knows that guy's not a white supremacist. And then they show tweets where he's like, oh, assault these people, do this. Oh, don't talk to me if you don't have a plan to kill this person. Even if that's a joke, like the different rules for different people is really breaking things. Mm-hmm. And the answer is just leave tattletaling in elementary school. When I was a kid, even tattletaling was not cool. Oh, that kid's a tattletale. I remember teachers would roast you if you tried to tell on someone.
Yeah, no, for real. They still do that. They're like, stop tattling. Stop being a tattletale. Just because adults, in your adult life, that is a disgusting quality that, in a human being that is not going to go over well. That's not a social, you can't socialize with other adults and be a tattletale. So they try to beat it out of kids. And rightly so. I mean, even if the kid is actually
oh my God,
away,
there's your quote. EVS Skyver said it's right to beat kids.
Well, I never really said otherwise. But yeah, I think that's correct. A lot of people at this point, SJWs, are tattling. They're overgrown tattletales. Well, Zach, most of these SJWs are young enough. Most of them are millennials who came from a time when parents did not discipline their kids. And I'm not saying physically, but in any single way. Our generation's weird. Our generation's really odd. I think about this all the time, and I wonder, because every generation before ours was spanked. Every single generation.
I was in that generation. I remember kids getting spanked at the commissary, which is the grocery store on a military base.
Yeah, and our generation somehow, like you and me, like as parents, and we kind of went, spanking was hard. Like,
you're talking about our generation of being parents.
Right.
Yeah, by the time I was a parent, it was totally not done. But when I was a kid, that you would get spanked by the principal.
Yeah.
I went to a Catholic school. Please tell me the other schools. Was I just at some really weird school? Yeah, you would get spanked by the principal for acting up.
Yeah, of course. Well, everybody did, and so now we're witnessing the generation of kids who basically we raised. My kid is now 20 years old, so he's a full-on millennial. Thank God he doesn't act like it. And these other kids are out there in the world, and they've never been disciplined, and they're tattletales. They're out there just like, he said queer? Oh my God. Let me figure out where he works. Let me figure out who his family is. Let me dox his address. We got to tell everybody this guy's a bigot. It's a weird world. I don't know if any of this stuff is interconnected.
Meanwhile, their Twitter bio is punch people that didn't vote the same as you.
Right. How odd, man. SJWs are intolerable human beings. And I really do think they're people who face zero consequences.
They are the worst human beings that the human race has ever produced. I do think it's going to be self-correcting. The younger generation thinks these people are clowns, like complete clowns. There's been numerous articles about that. But I think we got another 5 years. I feel like it's already really losing its sway. I mean, you saw with Dynamite, they just ignored it. The 12 weirdos on Twitter piped up, and Dynamo just ignored it. They're like, no response. And then what were the same 12 weirdos complaining about the next day? I can't get an abortion in Alaska. It's like, okay,
right.
You moved on. All right. By the way, we talked about this, and I wanted to get your take. I'm sensing a sea change with legit comic pros, as I was like, you're not really in comics. Mark Wade told a guy, you're not really a comic store at a retailer summit. Yeah. Gatekeeping what is real and what isn't. ICV2 says that we're the emerging market in the comic book industry. Crowdfunding. Ryan Stegman did a tweet where he was just basically in a neutral voice. He goes, hey, are these comic crowdfunding campaigns, are they being released? And then basically everyone was like, yes. And it's quite a different tenor, even just from 2 weeks ago, where we saw Brett Booth just like completely talking himself out of it. Oh, it's not 100% profit and X, Y, and Z. What do you make about that? Because Ryan Stegman's very successful. He's on the Venom book that's doing great. And I kind of feel like a like even the people, they're like, man, I'm on this book. It's getting all the media attention. It's getting good sales for 2019, but I feel like I'm underselling myself, you know? It almost feels like Donnie Cates and Ryan Stegman doing Stegman, a dinosaur-based superhero based on Ryan Stegman.
Right.
Copywritten by me right now. Got him. You can license it though. It almost feels like they would make more money off of that than they would make off of Venom.
Well, who cares about either of them? But I will say this, just broadly, Zack. Yeah, broadly speaking.
I like his art a lot. It's a really good art style.
Who cares? Zack, let me finish this. You brought up something. It's an important point, and then you go back and you want to talk about Stegman. Who cares about him? All right, listen. Here's the situation.
He's the first dinosaur American comic book pro.
Zack, you got to stop interrupting me.
Somebody doesn't care about representation. Okay, please proceed.
Right, thank you. Here's the thing. The reason why people work at Marvel and DC is because it beats every other alternative when it comes to working within the direct market. Okay, people work for Marvel and DC because you're going to make the most money possible for most people within the direct market, because you have a very limited audience. You've got 1,500 retailers who are making decisions based on what they think their customers are going to purchase and put in their stores. So right within that, you know that if I put out my book Stegman, this retailer doesn't know who I am. He doesn't know my fans necessarily. They don't, so he's going to order a small. I better just draw Spider-Man. Spider-Man is a safe bet. Okay, I'm just going to draw Spider-Man. Now, what we're doing, what crowdfunding is doing, is actually making what we're doing the very, very best alternative, because we can, we're able to talk directly to our fans in a way that the direct market can't. The fans, the people who actually listen to us, the customers are actually directly interfacing with this choice that they have, the decision to purchase. So we have leapt right over the heads of Marvel Comics, right over the heads of Donnie Cates and Ryan Stegman and all these other guys, whoever that are stuck working even at the top positions of Marvel and DC.
That's a great word you just used, stuck. That's what it feels like. It feels like they made it to their goal, the top of the mountain. They're like, why are things not better?
Well, they're stuck where they're at. They're like, wait a second, I'm telling you from the same, I was at the very pinnacle. You're talking about 2010, when the comic book industry was actually still kind of healthy. I was at the very, very top.
Healthy during a recession. That's what's so crazy.
Well, comics were still kind of selling. I mean, we were doing okay, way better than we're doing right now. And I'm telling you, making, six figures, comfortably six figures. But I was working my face off. I owned absolutely nothing that I was doing. And I really didn't have autonomy. I didn't really have the choices to do what I wanted to do. You would just sort of get a good job and hang on to it with both hands as hard as you can until you get forced off of it for the next thing. The next time they're going to change things around. It's no fun. I mean, it really is uncomfortable. You can't just make yourself at home the way that you can with Jawbreakers or Cyberfrog, where you just go, okay, nobody's going to force me off of this. This belongs to me. As long as the readers, as long as the customers are buying it. And by the way, there's room to descend from here. It's like not the same amount of customers do not have to buy Cyberfrog the next time around as they did the first time around. And I'm still going to be very, very comfortable and able to continue doing this.
My model is Brian Pulido. Brian Pulido consistently and almost exactly pulls in 225, 250,000 on every book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
books a year. That's $1 million in sales. The funny thing is, our enemies are going to be like, look how far they've fallen. Right. It's like, I am completely fine with falling to $1 million in sales every year for the next 5 years.
Yeah, no, I expect that we're going to do better. I honestly think Rainbow Brood is going to do better than Cyberfrog, and I think Cyberfrog Bright Planet is going to do good.
Did you see that panel I sent you yesterday?
Oh yeah, it was good.
I almost feel like I could sell the whole book just on that panel, not even colored yet. Like,
yeah. Oh my gosh. And and Zack knows, the people watching right now, Zack and I have some stuff going on that it's going to blow your mind. All right. I mean, it really is. Like, they can't stop us. These people think they can stop us. And what they don't understand is we are the most important thing in comics right now. Whether they realize it now or they realize it 10 years from now, in retrospect, Comicsgate is all that matters. And it's ours to lose. You know, there are people who are just like, I'm going to walk away from Comicsgate. It's just too stressful. Yeah, all of the best things, all the most important movements, all of the moments in history that matter are stressful. They're stressful. They're a fight. You have to assert yourself when you know you're right, when you know that things are bad and we have to make a change. Fighting against those things is stressful. It is a constant fight. Comicsgate is a constant fight against people who are, and I don't exaggerate when I say this, fucking evil. These people are evil. So either we relent and we turn the comic book industry over to these monsters, or we actually stand up against them, make a better way, and fight for what's ours, our section of the comic book industry, and then invite people who are reasonable over to join us, these cowards, these pussies who didn't join us from the very start. And I'm talking about those people that you mentioned. What are you waiting for? What are you guys waiting for at this point? What are you waiting for? Spider-Man to sell 30,000 copies? 10,000? What are you waiting for? You know, can't you see this is not going to get better? People who are talking about the comic book industry getting better, DC Comics is reacting to the comic book industry with reality. Marvel is reacting as though they are in deep, deep denial and laughing. Marvel is riding the bomb down like Slim Whitman right now. DC Comics is actually, they're tightening their belts. They're going, okay, Vertigo, close that down. Shit. Cut our number of books down. All right, fire most of these people. Fire all these people. We got to just tighten our belt. So there was a time when DC Comics only published 20 books a month. We might have to get back to that again. That should scare the piss out of these people. And they're doing it to themselves. And then you have idiots like Mags Visaggio who's like, I did 1,500 pages. The comic book industry doesn't even need 15 pages of Mags Visaggio's fucking writing. The comic book industry doesn't need any of what she's offering. And no offense, Mags, but your stuff sucks. And the fact that there's more of it doesn't make me happy. The fact that there's more shit in my yard, more goose shit in my yard doesn't make me happy just because there's more of it. A goose can sit there and say, I'm producing a lot. Fuck you, get out of my yard. We don't need more of this garbage. We need less garbage. We need zero garbage. And we need fewer but better product out there. And then we need to re-engage an audience that has been utterly isolated, that has been completely and totally disenfranchised from this industry and from this hobby. And who's going to do it? Joe Quesada? Who's going to do it? Renfamous? Who's going to do it? Who out there is actively engaging an audience the way that we are? And these pussies who are just like, I'm afraid because then my name is going to be mud. You're sinking into mud. The comic book industry is quicksand. Your entire being is going to be mud if you don't join us at some point and recognize what's going on. And those of you who are like, Comicsgate is scary. There's too much infighting. There's too much trouble. I'm not using the hashtag. Then go away. Let us build this up. This is getting bigger whether you join us or not. We are continuing forward. Zack, am I exaggerating anything that I'm saying? You know what's going on right now. Am I telling you the truth to these people or not?
So I'm actually really hungry. So honestly, as good as that run was, I started thinking it's like, oh, what do you got in the fridge? No, I'm joking. You're on a roll today. I feel like the Tutu comic comment emasculated you, and you're feeling, but yeah, what you're saying is true. It's good stuff. I've talked to these people in private and they say, hey man, I agree. I heard your video. I want to join in, but it's just too hot right now.
It's scary.
It's like,
scared.
Can I just say, as a customer, as not a creator, but there's going to be a point of no return. They're going to come in when it's too late, and the customer base is going to not accept them because it's going to be like, fuck you. You didn't come.
Well, yeah, because there's going to be a glut in 3 years. Everyone's going to have an Indiegogo, and they're all going to be making $12,000. And then they're going to say, well, so-and-so on Twitter 3 years ago was right. Crowdfunding is not sustainable. Oh, it's not sustainable for you when you wait 3 years and you jump in when everyone else does. The time to get in is now.
While there's a cost to it, people respect the cost. If you do it early enough, they're saying you're taking a risk and we'll reward your risk. That you took a risk on your career by doing this. So we're attracted to that. I don't want to see when it's comfortable, when enough other people came in. Now it's safe for me to come in. Fuck you.
I feel
we've seen
way.
Dynamite be rewarded simply for not cucking out. I didn't see them issue any response to the Christopher Priest attack by Chris Arant or the tepid boycott to Ethan. And what were their sales on Vampirella? 60,000.
And rising.
You're going to be rewarded. You're going to be rewarded. People respect boldness. They respect bravery. They don't respect tattletales and cowardice. It's a natural thing built into any. I take my buddy's dog on a walk, and she's very, very submissive. It's embarrassing. She will back down to cats. It's humiliating. Nobody. Sometimes I don't want to go and take you on a walk. You're a coward. She's a very nice dog. Everyone likes her, but she will literally back down to cats. Back down and cower and shake on the ground. And she's a freaking boxer. People admire bravery, boldness. They understand people make mistakes, missteps, but nobody admires cowardice. Nobody admires weakness. Nobody admires adults tattletaling. Nobody admires mental illness, and we've seen a lot of that from our enemies, like severe mental illness. So go out there, jump in, just be like. And the thing I disagree with Ethan is I don't think you have to say Comicsgate or fly that flag. I think I'm going to get a strong pushback from Ethan. Dynamite, I have no idea. I feel like Dynamite just wants to sell comics in a dying industry. But they have been rewarded for their boldness. You know, people saw Chris Arant try to digitally lynch Christopher Priest. And it bothers people. It bothers normal people on a fundamental level. And they're going to reward you, even if they don't know it. I guarantee you there are people who have passed by the last 4 Christopher Priest books and they have ordered Vampirella and they don't even know why. But they saw him, just kind of stick to his guns and saying, hey, I thought we were having a conversation. I didn't realize you were trying to destroy me. Yeah, I say the same thing, and here's my book. It comes out in August, whatever. So yeah, the time I felt like your reaction to Ryan Stegman was a little extreme. I didn't get your point, but you're seeing the unhappiness from people. You're seeing the disappointment. You're seeing the lack of money with these people. If your big brag for the year is somebody bought you a voucher on Southwest Airlines to fly you out to a convention, you're broke. It's just like I said in a video. If you played with the Warlords toys from Kmart, you were poor. If your excitement to brag a week, somebody bought me a plane ticket, you're poor. You're 40 and you're poor, and you need to do something about it. So it is time to jump into the crowdfunding arena. It is a time to stop with the stupid Twitter Bean Girls nonsense. It's a time to make sales, connect with customers, make money.
But Zach, it's not. I didn't overstate anything. I'm not saying here's why. The mainstream comic book industry, and the reason why these people are afraid to jump over into crowdfunding is entirely because of Comicsgate, because the SJWs own the mainstream.
Yeah. Brett Booth said that.
Breaking away from the mainstream means breaking away from the SJWs. It means actually spitting in the face of the SJWs and their ability to gatekeep you. So that is a significant thing to actually walk away, whether you're Comicsgate or not. But the reason why I want people to fly Comicsgate and be proud of Comicsgate is because Comicsgate is a movement, a united movement full of people who are strong enough together to actually oppose the SJWs who control and gatekeep the comic book industry as it is. And believe me, unless people actually stand up and oppose these people together as a crowd, it can't just be me and a couple of people. It's got to be a couple of very, very strong voices who together united oppose these people, because otherwise they're going to find a way to do the very, very same thing with whatever's left of the comic book industry that we're sitting here trying to build. We do actually have to stand together at some point and just say, no, we're bringing sanity back to the comic book market. We're creating a healthy industry again, and we can't allow these people to do this to this industry ever, ever, ever again. there's safety over here, but it does right now. It's risky. So the people who are dipping their toe in the water right now, I just don't like it. Just come over here.
That's my answer to Zach. Is you don't have to fly the flag of Comicsgate, but it's riskier, and the risk is rewarded because we know that you're putting it out there, and there's a penalty you're going to pay in the real industry, in the mainstream industry, and the risk comes with reward. That's brave. It's braver when you see somebody jump in with Comicsgate because they know there's going to be a cost for it.
Principle, Cecil, just out of principle, just you got to come over here and do this. You listen to, you spent any time actually listening to the diversity in comics videos, and you still have questions. You still have questions about, the state of the industry and who these people are and what they're up to. I mean, so much weird shit happened in the past 2 years that you forget about it. You have to remind yourself. I mean, it's like, I was telling Zach yesterday, I was like, I was watching this Medicare video and it was you and Kurt Aaron, whatever his name is, Aaron Reich. What was his name?
Wald.
Elderwald, something. Yeah, Eichenwald.
I mean, just this whole shit, like so much weird stuff happened to Comicsgate over the past 2 years that it's insane. And a book or a movie needs to be made about this because there's just way too much for me to even remember. Every single day, it was some new idiot threatening your life. It was some new member of the LGBTQ community demanding that you become crippled or something like that. It was absolutely.
Hey, I've got the title for the movie. 1500.
Why would it be called 1500?
You always say a movie's going to be made about this whole weird phase in comics.
Yeah.
1500. 1500 pages. Take that. I see them in every comic store I go to. I see them unsold months and years later. And I see the stores going out of business because they paid for that. They got emotionally blackmailed into ordering your books and they can't sell it to anyone.
Yeah.
Man, you're on a roll. I've watched your pink tutu turn into a chainmail skirt.
Dude, you invented that pink chainmail skirt of justice. Oh God, it's infuriating. I just want people to succeed, and it's like I feel like I'm dragging this along sometimes. It's like no. People, right when we're on the precipice of things actually breaking and becoming better. I feel like people are too timid to actually step over the edge and make this happen. And I swear to God.
I remember, with Brett Booth, you saw him starting to talk his way into it and then talk his way out of it. And he said, if I go crowdfunding, I'm blacklisted because crowdfunding is like, are you a secret comic skater? He's like, no, I'm trying to have retirement savings. Trying to pay my house off, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like at this point, you should jump in now. You should jump in this year. Ethan says you should say Comicsgate. I say actions are what matter. Dynamite didn't respond. They didn't give in to the social pressure. They didn't cancel your retailer variant. They didn't fire Christopher Priest.
Zach? Why?
And they're being rewarded. They did the action that matters, or the inaction, which is just ignore people.
Zach, why are you afraid of Comicsgate? It is the label that SJWs are terrified of labels. SJWs want to control words. SJWs want to control words because if they can control words, they can control the narrative, the sense of reality. And SJW's whole entire thing is we've got to destroy Comicsgate. They're not worried so much about destroying the movement of people leaving the mainstream comic book industry and going over and crowdfunding and being successful. That's going to happen. You look at Billy Tucci, he's doing it. That's just fine. Their concern is destroying the label Comicsgate so that people are afraid to use it because Comicsgate is a middle finger to the SJWs who have destroyed the comic book industry. If you go over there and
I'll give you an example. When I was in the military, I was in the Marines, and I was in the Texas Army National Guard, then I was in the active duty Army, then I was in the Texas Army National Guard again. It was about 12 years of service on and off, about 9 to 10 active service. You know what I never did, unless I was ordered to do it for an inspection? I never wore my dog tags around my neck. Something intrinsically bothered me about wearing dog tags around my neck. I didn't like feeling owned. I would put them in my left breast pocket because it was an inspection item. You always had to have it on you. And I think I just took the risk of getting yelled at. I don't think I took it on PT runs because you didn't have pockets. I felt like Comicsgate was like a dog tag, and that I had to wear all the time and show for inspection.
No,
to me, Comicsgate is not like a literal.
For a second, I'm going to give you are Comicsgate. When a person comes out for Comicsgate, it means I saw what they did to this fucking guy, and I'm standing with him. You are Comicsgate. When people are like, "I'm Comicsgate," they're making a statement. What that guy went through was fucked up, and I'm with him. You're seeing how linked you are to Comicsgate. You're the fucking godfather. I know there's Doug Ernst and Cummings, and you're the godfather, and you don't see your place. When people say I'm Comicsgate, they're basically saying I'm standing with Richard Meyer, and he got fucked over.
Thank you. Thank you.
You don't. What was that? You just did one clap. You started the clap, and you just did one.
It wasn't a clap. It was just me. Comicsgate. Oh, Zach, I'm gonna.
So we have different philosophies on what
right here. I'm gonna tear you to pieces. Comicsgate is a bunch of people who saw what happened to you when you tried to enter the comic book industry because you saw what was horrible about it, and the SJWs who were attacking you and tried to destroy your life. Comicsgate is a lot of people who went, "That's wrong. That's fucked up. I stand with your boy Zack. This is a movement. Things actually need to change, and we can only make things better together." Comicsgate would not exist without you. Doug Ernst is great. Cummings is fine, but Comicsgate would not exist without you. And these people have kind of come together to make a change in comic books because of you. And I have to say, I'm one of those people. I watched what happened to you, and I listened to what you had to say, and I agreed with you. I agreed with all of your videos. I thought you had a fine, tuned assessment of what was going on within the comic book industry and the problems thereof. And these people are basically saying, no, we stand with Zack in a way. I mean, it's like that's kind of what Comicsgate is. Zack was right. Zack kind of was a victim initially. The target, I wouldn't say a victim, but the target of SJW aggression within the comic book industry. And he delineated all the things that needed to change. And so what do we call that? I mean, that is they tried to call that Comicsgate. The SJWs tried to call that Comicsgate to make your criticism of their abuse and destruction of a fun hobby and a prosperous industry into something scandalous. And the people who believed in you and saw you for something bigger than that, better than that, more important than that, adopted that label and made it into something positive. I don't know why everyone wouldn't want to stand behind that. I don't know why everyone doesn't want to.
You explain it in a very good way right now. You're basically saying it's an insult repurposed as a point of pride.
That's correct. Well, I've said that a million times.
That's an interesting thing. And my analogy is, I'm a Marine, whether I have my dog tags around my neck or in my pocket.
Right. And you're Comicsgate whether you take that label or not, because the big two are going to call you Comicsgate.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it basically became a thing where it became I feel like it dominates every conversation. And I feel like there's a thing called Good Waiter Gate, and every single person's a member of it. And everyone goes into a restaurant wanting to be treated respectfully and not have saliva spit into their, and if there's a fly, you don't get like, oh, flies are black. You hate things that are black. You hate black people. No, I just don't want to fly in my suit.
Zack never listens.
Zack is dense and never listens.
Zack, you are Comicsgate. But listen, I'm going to go back to it. Comicsgate is just a short way of saying I stand with Zack. That's it. And maybe you don't see it because you are Zack and you can't see it.
Yeah, it's like I stand with myself.
Right.
I think it's much bigger than that. I think Comicsgate is like Ethan. Well, I think it's kind of my customer gate thing. It's literally I want to be treated, if not respectfully, at least not disrespectfully. I want you to make a product that is not overtly and extremely political. And to me, it's a very, very simple thing. So to talk about it is almost, it's like talking about gravity to your neighbor. You know what I mean? It's just, It's just common sense stuff.
Sometimes I want to like strangle. You know what I mean, Cecil? I like this guy. Zach's my brother, and I've gotten closer to Zach than in the past couple of years than I have with anyone, and I care about him. When I watch what happened to Zach, and you think about Zach, I want you to think about the stuff that you've sacrificed in your own life for this. Really put that into perspective, and then think about the things that other people have sacrificed and put on the line for this cause. And then just be like, why would we walk away from that ever? Why would we not claim with pride? This is what I always say about labels. SJWs called themselves social justice warriors as a boast. We're social justice warriors. Well, SJW, the initial for social justice.
Just to reiterate, are you saying that you think I've walked away from Comicsgate?
Yes.
No, I haven't walked away from it.
We'll get back.
I haven't walked away from it. It feels like a dead meme to talk about it so much.
No, it's not a dead meme. It was never a meme.
If someone says, "Are you Comicsgate?" I'll first say, "How are you defining it?" Because they're going to say Comicsgate is an alt-right hate group, and they're like, "Are you Comicsgate?" Yeah. Oh, you just admitted you're an alt-right hate group. Are you Comicsgate in that the current way that normal people describe it, as in you want good customer service, you want things that are not extremely and aggressively political, and you stand with people like Ethan Van Sciver and
say yes, Zach.
All these other.
You just say yes. You don't have to. You don't have
yes
to wait for
to
other
normal people, not yes to extremist weirdos who are purposely misconstruing.
Somebody asked me if I'm Comicsgate. I say fuck yes, I'm Comicsgate. I don't care what they define it as, because they're liars. And the whole thing, what Comicsgate is Comicsgate is an opposition to SJWs.
Are you building up to a very dramatic moment where I say I'm still Comicsgate?
You better say it.
Yeah, I'm still Comicsgate. I always was.
All right.
Like I said, but it's not like I'm going to start saying it 50 times a day. I feel like it's a very simple thing, and to bring it up constantly is kind of I don't know. I did a video called Comicsgate is boring. I felt the title should have been talking about Comicsgate is boring. All the things that make it is making your own things and connecting with customers and being respectful and being fun with them. I think we do that stuff every day.
It's just the only reason we're talking about it right now is because before you said people could jump over and they don't have to declare themselves as Comicsgate. That's how
I don't think they have to say it.
No, they don't. I agree with that, but I'm just saying you made a point to say that.
Here's why we have to talk about Comicsgate every single day, Zach, because you and I might be bored with it, but it bears repeating, because there are more and more people who are coming to the same conclusion and coming.
Well, I have noticed that now, newer people don't have this stigma. Like I see like Sweetcast. I don't even know if he said he's Comicsgate, but he doesn't have a problem with it. No, he doesn't have a problem with it. And this the Star Wars girl, like they're just like, oh yeah, I saw all the hit pieces. I know that's not true. I've seen a million Gamergate hit pieces. I know what a hit piece is. Yeah, I'm not worried. You guys seem cool. So it seems like the current version of people who are just finding out about it, they can kind of suss it out. They didn't live through, a year of like, what was it, 30, 50 hit pieces. They were coming out like every 3 days for a while there.
We already went through all that. I said at the beginning of the stream, I was like, I will take the slings and arrows for this. It's like, I will do that. We've already done all that. This was before you came on the stream.
Sweetcast and all
had all of the motherfucking articles. Excuse my language. I'm very hype. But we've had all of these articles written about us. We had our reputations destroyed. We had our lives turned upside down for this cause. Now, the reason why, and so that's already happened. They've already done everything they can possibly do. And we've made room for reasonable people like Clint and Sweetcast, Anna, that Star Wars girl, other people to come in here and be new voices for Comicsgate and actually further, make Comicsgate bigger, bring more people in. And try to build this new comic book industry up, try to build up a new way for people to make and read comics that is not dependent on kneeling to and sucking off SJWs like Mags Visaggio. That's important. I don't want to take a picture with Mags Visaggio in my lap and have to say, this is my new BFF. I don't want to do that anymore. I don't think anybody who's Comicsgate wants to have to do that. That's not what we want to do. We want to be able to have freedom and dignity, make choices in and of ourselves, have our own customer bases, and not have to get the approval of anyone. And the way to do that, unfortunately, is we do have to stick together and fight together. We can't fight separately. We do need to fight together, and we fight together under a banner. Now, Comicsgate was given to us as a slur. It was meant to insult us and shame us. But by our own actions, by our own success, and by the standards that we live up to, the things that we say, and the way that we treat people, Comicsgate has come to mean something else. We wear it with pride now. Okay, it was meant to scandalize us. We wear it with pride. It means something good. And we need to reiterate that every single day to new people who check us out. So that's important that I constantly talk about what Comicsgate is, what it means, because people go, what even is Comicsgate? Got to tell them, got to tell new people every single day so that they know, so that we can actually fix this. We're responsible for fixing this, Zach. You and me, we kind of, at this point, we're the ones who kind of stepped up and really kind of opened up this whole thing now. We're the ones that people look at. So we do have an obligation to these people. And then on the other hand, social justice warriors, they flattered themselves with that name. Now they're running from SJW. They even say, if you call us SJWs unironically, I can't take you seriously. SJW, calling someone a social justice warrior should be a badass label, but it's because of their own actions. It's because of who they are and how they interact with people, and what people know SJWs are just from dealing with them, that SJW has become a dirty word. It's the opposite of Comicsgate. So, I mean, our behavior has been so good. What we've done and what we've said, what we've produced has been so inspiring and so good that we should wear Comicsgate as a label with pride. The minute we get rid of it, the minute we admit that Comicsgate is shameful or something that we don't want, it's not hip, it's over, social justice warriors have won. Because if you can't, people need labels. People need to be able to say, this is a group of people here. This group, this cause is called this. And this is healthy. This is alive. And the people who wear this label are good people who are proud of it. Therefore, it's something that I want to look into. I believe that. I'm glad that you're saying that you're still Comicsgate, but this is still something that we have to talk about every day. It's not a meme. It's not going to die. It's not Gamergate, because Gamergate had people who weren't producing anything. We can actually produce things. We can actually compete with the mainstream. We have that capability.
There were never any Gamergate games? No. I don't really know about Gamergate.
Well, I mean, the video games take so long to produce.
Yeah, it's like 2 years and like 200 people to make one.
Yeah, we can actually get together. We can produce good comics, make a lot of money, and just be like, look, our stuff is better. It's fun. It's the way comics should be. And you either agree or disagree, but we can actually compete with the mainstream in that way.
Oh, yeah. The funny thing, I saw this interview with David Mazzucchelli, and he's kind of out of comics. But he goes, I've heard that sales are so low that the difference between indies and mainstreams is fairly negligible. I mean, when you're talking about Marvel comics, some of which sell 12,000, and then Dynamite and Image sell 7,000. Like, if you make something that has a staple in it, you're basically mainstream. Everything's been destroyed.
Yeah. And for everyone in the chat, I mean, listen, understand what I'm saying here. You're Comicsgate. Either you accept that and you call yourself Comicsgate and wear it proudly, or they're going to call you Comicsgate. There's no escaping that. I mean, any one of these guys who goes, I used to be Comicsgate, but I'm not anymore. You're Comicsgate still, as far as those SJWs are concerned. They're going to call you that, and they're going to call you that as a slur. So You might as well wear it proudly. Let's make it mean something good.
2 points from the chat that were good. One, those people donating to your legal defense are definitely Comicsgate. And the second point that was great is Zach's not listening. He's hungry.
I am hungry. I'm fasting, but I ruined it. And the deal about fasting is like, even if you just say like, oh, I'm just going to drink a little soda, that breaks a fast, because when you fast, your body basically stops digesting food the normal way. It stops, stomach acid. So you don't get hungry. You don't get any hunger pains. You just take a little sip of soda and your whole body's like, oh, I guess we're back in business. So now I'm hungry again. I got to sit through being hungry for 24 hours before the switch is back off.
I never get hungry. I just keep eating.
Yeah, I got a big thing of cookies upstairs that I'm thinking about, but I'm not going there. As soon as we get off of this live stream, you know what I'm doing, Zach? I'm going out my
speaking of which, check your Facebook. Yeah.
Oh, I can't. Wait a second. Yeah, as soon as we go out of here, I am going out my door. I'm going into the swimming pool. Yeah. I see that. So
Do you have
what?
a French drain around it?
They're asking for people to jump. Zach, so what? I don't understand.
Oh, they're launching a campaign. I think it's soon. I can't tell. I asked what time. So
am I allowed to say this aloud, or is this? Why are you telling me this like it's a secret?
Because I don't want to just say like, "Hey, let's jump off this and go into another live stream."
Oh! I got it. Oh, he's launching a live stream. Well, that's fine. We can jump off.
It sounded recent, but I just asked him what time, and he hasn't gotten back to me, so I'm not sure.
All right, well let me do that then. I mean, Eric Weathers is he's Comicsgate's letterer. He's not lettering Cyberpunk.
Oh, he does everything. He did both the Jawbreakers books, and I'm still gonna letter Ironsides because I changed the dialogue a lot, and it's supposed to be like lie. But he's really, really good. And I kind of did him a disservice. Well, actually, Mark Waid did. When Mark Waid did the Torches Interference, I lost the company with 34 years experience in prepping comics that are in focus. And so the first edition, his letters did not look correct because we did the wrong settings. We didn't know, so I was able to find a professional, and he sends me the screenshots, and they look so much different. They're so crisp, and they just look fantastic. So he's lettered. He's pretty much going to letter everything for me in the future, except for the Abai Canalis books. I'm always going to letter those. So he's just great, and he's launching I can't tell, I think this morning or maybe at noon or something like that. So he asked for me to jump in. Doug's going to be there. I'm going to be there. Ethan's going to be in the pool saving frog. Have any frogs actually died, dead?
Yeah, 2 of them. It sucked, man. It made me feel bad because I mean, as long as they've only been in there overnight, they'll live when I get out there. But if I don't get there,
did it feel like an omen, like a dark sign?
Well, frogs are good luck. I assume dead frogs are bad luck. But in any case, we used to have rabbits in the yard from the house that we were renting. That was fine, but this one has frogs, and I don't want to lose any of them. I want my yard to be filled with frogs that are happy. I don't want them to die. I don't want to get them eaten by birds. So when they get in the pool, I put them out and put them back in the rocks again.
Why don't you put some lily pads in your pool?
I don't really want to. I don't really want to swim in lily pads.
Make it a terrarium.
Let me read some super chats. Everyone's going over to Eric Weathers, who has launched a campaign, it sounds like, called Flying Fortress. He's going live. I think some of Comicsgate's biggest are going to go over there and support Eric Weathers because everyone loves him and he's an important guy. So we want to do that. We want to back Flying Fortress and get him to 5 figures right away. Let's see. Matt Horkin says, okay. Lakin645 says, EVS, Zack, Cecil, chat to ex Scotsguard, SAS, Oil Boss team, or come mercenary Scott Man at Captain SFM about his time in Africa. No, I won't drop this. Simon Oliver says, Wonder Woman 1984. Does anyone think that date is oddly specific? Say George Orwell's 1984. Leon Garnett says, Batwoman trailer, DC is too ashamed, thanks to CW. Storytime with Yan Yang Zhao says comics were better from 88 to 91 too. That is true. That is absolutely true. Swinging Cod says, can't wait to get my Steranko cover for Dixon's Airboy. Steranko is a legend and still making great art. Swinging Cod says, wait, it says what? The Cyberfrog is coming out at Dynamite? It's not. It's coming out at All Caps Comics. Comic book, let me see. Comic Books in Cahoots says Zack is back in the AM. Everyone's excited about Zack doing stuff. And he says Zack is Don Rickles and EVS is Johnny Carson, Cecil's Ed. Cameron Thomas says Zack, use Cecil for shade and let the sunbeam shine. Sunspot Gallery says, thanks for the afternoon laughter. Question, I love drawing Marvel and DC characters. Is there any legal way I can sell sketches of them I don't own from both? Thanks, love y'all. Yeah, you can do a single sketch of any character and sell it. Lucifer Love Monkey says Zack is watching the Food Network while fasting. Kalinowski says $5 to sing Butter right now. Later on. People Circus says Zack jealous because all he can do is play the pink oboe. That's not nice. Black Russian Bot says Zack came in like a wrecking ball. LOL hail. Jorgomund 07 says you can't have quality over quantity when your ideology claims everything is subjective, and calling someone superior to another is oppression. Yet in the P says, Zack, I love you. With that in mind, when you interrupt someone when they're in midpoint, please give back the thread they were on so they can finish. Heart. Zach does that. Zach, you have to. Here's the thing: getting Zach on a thread, or a live stream, just let him go. He's allowed to interrupt. Lucifer Love Monkey says bubonic plague is coming back to LA. They did it. Yetna P says as soon as I log in to say that, you stop doing it. Nemesis Blade says no, studies show bubonic plague may return. Lucifer Love Monkey says, what is Mag's show about? I think it's probably about transgendered people hitting people with baseball bats or rock guitars or bass guitars. That seems to be what Mags mostly writes about. Caving in people's heads. Lycan645 says, so Carlos can give but not receive. Sweetcast says, Zach snitches get, and then ... Brandon Smith says, the real patient zero of the SJW, right? That's hard to say. I would say Gail Simone. GT and Mark Wade. Is that right or wrong?
I'd say Casada.
Casada is the patient zero of SJW?
On his watch.
What do you think of that, Zach? Are you still here? Zach totally went to go get something to eat.
He's eating a burrito.
Yeah. GTM Review says, take him to church, Uncle E. Pine Barrens Legend says, I love that I'm getting real collector's comics. I like my 90s comics, but they were so mass-produced that they're too easy to find. These are special. Comic Books in Cahoot says, I'm Comicsgate. Simple. Argentico 2003 says, no Comicsgate, no money from me. Comicsgate equals customer first. And people actually want you to say that you're Comicsgate in order for them to support your project. And that's understandable. Hikaru says, Doug wants you to get Eric Weathers on your show to promote his new comic, Flying Fortress. Zirank says, is it wrong to ask what is a good example of a comic book script on outline? Comic book script outline. Good example of a comic book script outline. Zirank, I don't know. I don't know what the question means. I'm not quite sure what you're asking. And plus, what do I know? Zach just sent me a message and said, I'm going to the kitchen. Yeah, he's going to eat. With that in mind, everyone go and find Eric Weathers, support his new campaign, Flying Fortress. While you're at it, please do support Cyberfrog Vampirella, the variant cover, and Cyberfrog Blood Honey. Those two books are available. Links are in the description. Thank you guys eternally for listening to me yell about Cecil. I get really passionate about Comicsgate. It's not a joke to me. You know what I mean?
It's good.
I have to, when people put it down, even Zach, when Zach minimalizes it, it gets my hackles up.
I don't think he sees it because he's
been the victim of it. He's at the center of the hurricane. And I think some of us are close to it, but we're closer to the chaos. And Zach has been so victimized by these crazy people attacking him that part of him just wants to pull back and please stop attacking me. I'm different than that. I've been in, I don't think I've gotten it as bad as he has, but I've gotten it pretty bad. And I am not fucking giving up. I am fighting these people until I get what I want out of this industry. And one of the things I've said, Cecil, is I've said we're taking back the mainstream. And I'm not doing it in any way that I need to apologize or bow. I am marching in, carrying the metaphorical Comicsgate banner, and I'm bringing all of you with me. And you're, have faith. That's all I want to say is I want to say to you guys, have faith in me. Have faith in each other. Have faith in your ideals. You're right. When you say you're Comicsgate, you're correct. You're absolutely ethical. You're moral. You are fighting oppression. You're fighting something pretty ugly. You're fighting actual creative fascism within the comic book industry. You're fighting, what would you call it, Cecil? What would you call what these SJWs are doing to creativity in comics?
You're fighting assholes.
Oh, I love that. I love that. So fighting assholes. Have faith in each other, and let's stand up to this and just do great things. And take the spirit of camaraderie, take the spirit of customers first, and all of that. Go over to Eric Weathers. Cheer him on. If you can support his project, please do. If not, share his project. Let's see that Flying Fortress gets off to a really big start today. And thank you guys for your continued support of everything that we do. Really, really appreciate it. Thanks, Cecil, and thanks, Zach, for joining me today. And now it's time to jump into the swimming pool. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.